Driving that one forward, finds Carter Lowe through the neutral zone. Lowe waits, takes the shot, kicks aside, rebound, scores! Cole Bodwin! Welcome to the Bort Longyear Memorial Gardens in North Bay as we get ready for this afternoon's matchup between the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion. I'm your host, Mike Poirier, joined alongside Gene Pereira and Josh McCann. Also at the arena, made the trip as we get ready for the second half of the 25-26 OHL season. A part of me is kind of surprised we've already reached the halfway mark, but, for this Colts team right now sitting top spot in the Central Division, things going their way in that first half before the World Juniors showed up. But if you had to give a bit of a grade, what would you say the Colts were successful with in that first half?
An overall grade, I guess, B plus. A bit of a rough start. They had all those games at home ice, didn't take advantage, but they finished really strong, and that's the important thing. I think they really came together. I mean, their goaltending has been outstanding. I think you got to certainly look at an A mark for there, if not A plus, the way Benaredic and Arvin Jaswal have played in net, and they've kept Barrie in. The blue line, I think it's pretty much expected. A couple of things, obviously, you get the pass wars and Keyshawn Aitchison, but I think the story back there has just been the development of young Chris Emerton and his ability to kind of step up, and he's been a top four defenseman, and he's played like it. Not just the offense. I think expected to look at him to be a guy that can quarterback the power play down the road, but this guy's stepping in all key situations. And up front for this team, again, there's no doubt that the Emo Hammocks, Cole Bodwin's, Aitchison on the offense, Brad Gardner, they've been a big part of it. But I think the story up front is where's that secondary scoring going to come? And Mike, that's something that we've seen over this last couple of weeks with those guys away at World Juniors, that they've struggled to put the puck in the net. And with the trade deadline around the corner, if this is a team that wants to contend and be among the contenders and give Brantford, a push in Ottawa, I think you're going to have to add some offense.
Well, the final three games, that first half of the regular season, 1 goal in 3 games, and that was, a tough week just to end the regular season, or the first half of the regular season for the Barrie Colts. You go 1-2, you win in Brampton 1-0 in a shootout, and that 1 goal was against the Sudbury Wolves in the first game of that weekend. But Dylan Smoskowitz, he has shifted the lines. The offense is going to look totally different from what we saw at the end of the season, and it's almost a way to wake up the depth and the scoring, trying to figure out what kind of chemistry can work as you play these next 4 games without your top 3 in Hemming, Bodwin, and Aitchison.
Yeah, you look for it. I mean, obviously, you go to the veterans, the Carter Lowe's, the Bodie Stewarts. Those are the guys they look to step up. I think Solance has played well, and you expect him. He got a couple of goals there before the Christmas break, and he's another guy they look for offense. But they're going to have to find it somewhere, and sometimes you find it from your blue line. Justin Hansler's pitched in with a couple of goals and that type of thing in development. Gardner's obviously going to have to be a key part, but. I think that's the most important part is they're going to have to figure out here, ways to score goals. And sometimes dirty goals are simple, right? You put pucks in the net, bodies to the front of the net, and hope you get a deflection or, you get a rebound.
And the Barrie Colts also calling up Nolan Newton from the Greater Sudbury Cubs. He's played 17 games in his OHL career. No goals, or 1 goal, no assists in his regular series and appearances. But for the Barrie Colts, looking for that depth scoring, trying to change things up. Newton's had some success at the NOJHL level and seeing if maybe that can be a bit of a spark on that 4th line.
Yeah, he's a guy that, they drafted and, he's had success down at the NOJHL level, but I think that's the move here. Is they're looking for some kind of offense, some kind of spark, and they're hoping that he can kind of now step in, being a little bit older, into the lineup here and add some offense. And you kind of got to turn over every stone, right? And Newton again is one of those guys that has really played well on a level below this. And you're hoping that finally he can spark it up here in the OHL.
Now, you've touched on it. The OHL trade deadline around the corner. It's 2 weeks away, January 9th. And today, the trade window opened up once again, coming out of the Christmas break. And we've had 3 pretty significant trades, one of them impacting the Central Division specifically. And that's the Niagara Ice Dogs trading Kevin He and Darcy DeWatcher to the Flint Firebirds. for Chase Hall and picks. And I know at the start of the regular season, a lot of the talk was Niagara Barrie, who would win the Central Division, but now we're seeing the Ice Dogs have become a seller here, which is adding a whole other dynamic now when you take a look at that Central Division.
Yeah, you got to figure, Riley Patterson's another guy that could be possibly moved there. And, the Central Division right now, I mean, you got these two teams, North Bay and Barrie at the top. North Bay is 5 points behind Barrie. So, you wonder what you do. But North Bay is kind of in that rebuilding process still, another step here. And, I don't expect them to be too busy in terms of adding, at the deadline. The Colts are a little bit different situation. You got K-Shot, Aitchison, Bowman, Brad Gardner, Hemming probably moving on after this season. So it'll be interesting to see what Barrie does, expecting to unload a bit here and maybe, try to push Brantford atop the Eastern Conference.
So we'll talk more about the trade deadline coming up in the first intermission. We'll break down some of the other trades happening around the OHL as well. But in the meantime, this is a Barrie Colts team that's trying to stay ahead of the North Bay Battalion in the Central Division. You mentioned it, a 5-point difference between the Colts and the Troops. And North Bay, they won the previous two meetings. The rivalry weekend 2 months ago, North Bay winning one game in regulation and one in a shootout. So this is already the third of 6 meetings between these two teams. Very important points as we head into the second half.
Yeah, that's, I talking to Marty Williamson, he said, this is a chance for us to kind of put those guys away, an opportunity for young guys to step up and play a role, but to see what we we need and what we have here. Some guys can step up with their scoring and fill in those roles. And, one thing is going to be holding off this North Bay team. Again, I mean, they always play very well. And, they're well coached and disciplined team. And, those 2 wins, you figure Barrie's a little bit hungry coming here today. But I think it's another game where they're going to have to rely on Benarevic to play well in net and just kind of grind it out and find a way to, to get the 2 points here today.
So before the game, I had a chance to catch up with head coach Dylan Smoskowitz. So we'll get his take on today's game in the Mariposa School of Skating Coach's Corner. Joined by Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz. You just had that Christmas break. Are you eager to get things back underway here for the second half of the season?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the Christmas break felt like a month, to be honest with you. Enough family time and enough chocolates and cakes and stuff like that. I was very excited to get to the rink yesterday and see some familiar faces at practice. I was very excited to get on the bus to North Bay, which not a lot of people can say, but I was really looking forward to this day. So I'm ready for the puck to drop.
I've been amazed by how many people have been saying they're excited to be in North Bay just to get this season underway. And this is a big game, a divisional opponent. They're 5 points back in the Central Division standings. Is this a good telltale sign of what direction this second half could start with this game?
Oh, for sure. I mean, our guys are pretty pumped up, and they kind of take it a little bit personally, too. You lose 3 guys to World Juniors, and you haven't been getting the results you want, and the goals haven't been there, and our guys are not sleeping lately on that. They had a full week to think about it. Some guys really have to step up today. There's a lot on the line just in terms of, and internally, we want to know that we can do this thing without these 3 guys, but in terms of the standings, we want to put North Bay 7 points behind us. So it's a big 2 points on the line, and then I'm sure that we have 20 guys who are ready to go tonight.
And the forward unit kind of mixing it up with the lines, getting some new looks. I know William Schneid, he's out day to day, I understand, but changing things to get some new chemistry going here.
When you score 1 goal in 3 games, you don't want to keep going back to that same well. If it ain't broke, then don't fix it. But it was definitely broken. So definitely giving some guys some new looks. We've got Alex Semensov in the lineup today. We got Nolan Newton up from the Sudbury Cubs in the lineup today. So looking forward to having his offensive input injected into the lineups here today. But again, just finding some chemistry. Yeah, at the end of the day, though, it's just about competing. And I told these guys, if we scored 1 goal and win the game 1-0, that's fine by me. That means we really competed hard. We're not looking to score 10 goals today. It's not going to happen, nor do we want it to happen. We just want to compete. We want to do things the right way and trust that the goals will come. And this is only the 3rd meeting so far against this battalion team. How they like to play. How is it for this one? Is it important to get off to that hot start, or try to play that, play your systems, play your style, and let the game come to you guys? I think you always want to get off to a good start, but at the same time, it's like you said, you just got to make sure you're doing things that you're happy with. You can't control a bad call, you can't control a bad bounce. Maybe you go down 1 or 2 goals early, but if you're playing your solid hockey, that Barrie Colts brand of hockey, we feel pretty good about our chances against anyone. So we're just looking forward to shaking off the bus legs and shaking off the rust. It's no excuse. Both teams have it, so whoever wants it more today is going to be the one coming out on top. but again, not shooting yourself in the foot. Stay out of the box, no undisciplined penalties, getting pucks out, getting pucks deep, like all the cliches that are actually really important to our guys, and we stress it all the time. Puck management, odd man rushes, the stuff that maybe doesn't look so sexy on the scoreboard, but it makes it to be a very difficult team to play against, and that's the team we want to be.
So that was Barrie Colts head coach Dylan Smoskowitz in our Mariposa School of Skating Coaches Corner. And Dylan mentioned it, how eager he is to be here in North Bay for this hockey game. Yes, the Christmas break was great to spend time with family, but Smoskowitz seems like that kind of guy. He just wants to be at the rink, and he's eager to get the second half of the season underway.
Oh, that's one thing always, even the hockey players, when you see them leave the Christmas break, they're all walking out with skates, gloves, equipment. Like, come on, you just played a whole bunch of games. And, you take a bit of a break, but these guys love being on the ice. And for Smoskowitz, he played the game, still those competitive juices looking to pick up the second half here.
Yeah, and you got to figure we've got to know Dylan this season and just how much his passion and whatnot for the game of hockey is. How much time do you think he actually spent maybe going over these lineups to get things right and get things going here for the Barrie Colts in the second half?
Oh, you watch the coaches, even on the bench, right? They got the lines in their hand written down, and they spend more time, on the bus coming here. They're looking at it's the same players, right? Like, I mean, how much can you move them? But, look, I mean, they're looking to do what's best and help the team win games and develop these young players. And, for Smoskowitz, it's his first year in the OHL, and, a good start, a bit of a tough start there, but what I liked about it is he didn't panic. He kind of kept the positive message, and it's a young crew behind that bench for Barrie. The coaching staff, and they've done a really good job of turning things around here, and it's a competitive team. But it's good to see Dylan, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that he was chomping to get back here.
So we do have puck drop coming up in about 3 minutes' time as Sarge takes to the ice to get ready for this one here between the Battalion and the Colts. Just a reminder, the chat is live, so you can join the conversation during the broadcast. We will be talking some trade deadline business coming up in the first intermission, but we already touched on it, the big trade this afternoon between the Niagara Ice Dogs and the Flint Firebirds. We'll talk more about that and a couple other trades that have taken place. So if you want to join in the conversation, you can always join the chat at any time, just like Liam has. He's eager to get this broadcast underway as we get set for the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion. And it's going to be a big 4 games this week. 3 out of 4 against Central Division opponents. You're missing those big 3, but you need to step up for these games. These are 4-point games almost every other night. And for the Colts, they want to hold on to that top spot in the Central Division. And it's going to come down to games such as this here this afternoon.
It's funny, talking to Dylan Swan, you got Gabriel Elias, and you're thinking, that's pretty big, right? Like, I need a bench just to kind of interview him. But, now you got a 7-foot guy. You got to be kidding me. But, again, it's always interesting. And, it's great. It really speaks to, just the development of players, where they go to find these hockey players. And it speaks to the popularity of this game around the world.
Yeah, and he's from Moldova. So I'm not sure the last time I mentioned a Moldovan hockey player, but he's from that country. So the two teams are on the ice getting ready for puck drop. So we're going to take a quick break. But when we return, we'll have the start of the first period after the national anthems here in North Bay. So we're getting ready for the first period of play here between the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion. And while we have a moment, let's take a look at our starting goaltenders, which is presented by Craighurst Crossing by Georgian Communities. New homes just minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm.
For the North Bay Battalion, Mike McIver, the veteran, gets the start. The 6'1", 174-pound Warkworth native, making his 21st appearance of the season, 7-11, 1-0 record, 3.72 goals against average, 879 save percentage. McIver, 19 years old, fourth-round pick in 2022 to the Battalion. The other end, Ben Arebic, the veteran, gets the start for the Barrie Colts, 6'3", 204-pound Milton native. He's making his 24th appearance in the season. 12-7, 1-3 record, 2.75 goals against average, and outstanding 927 save percentage.
Our referees this afternoon, David Elford and Kyle Whiteman, and on the lines, Charlie Geisler and Devin Marson, as these two Central Division rivals ready to go toe-to-toe to open the second half of the 2025-26 OHL regular season. And we are underway. Oh, no, they were going to drop the puck, but now we've got Nolan Newton and Shamar Moses mixing up. Now we'll drop the puck. And action underway here at the Bort Longyear Memorial Gardens. It's the Battalion taking in the zone. Quick shot, stopped by Harevic. Colts will move it ahead. Newton along the boards. That's taken away. Rolls into the North Bay zone. Asadorian trying to pick it up. It's taken away by the Battalion. That's going to be sent to the far side. There's Parker Vaughn. He's knocked down. Loose puck picked up by Asadorian behind the net. In front, paddle down McIver. He'll send that to the corner, and the Battalion will get this one out. Carrying it out, that's Cam Warren on the wing. He's going to dump it in, and both teams will make some quick lineup changes. Here's Justin Hanser. He's quickly sending this one forward. Jaden Newton got a stick on it. We're going to have to get used to the two Newtons in the lineup here for this one this afternoon. There's a turnover. Sementsov shot stopped by McIver, as Alexander Sementsov in his third OHL game gets a decent opportunity.
You just see him getting stronger and stronger, more confident in this level. Talking to Coach Dylan Smoskowitz, was really happy with his play in the first two games. And again, he's a guy that can provide that eye offense spark, already playing in the top six for this Colts team here. An opportunity for the young guy to show his stuff.
Face-off won by the Colts. Here's Cole Emerton. His shot goes off the linesman's foot. Puck's in front. Sementsov trying to dig it free. Loose puck. Newton back to Slandra. His shot wide of the net. McIver loses his mask. And now we'll get the whistle. Kind of a delay there. But good pressure early on here from the Barrie Colts.
Well, how about Sementsov going to the front of the net, working, helping to get that puck back to set up that shot. McIver's mask comes flying off.
So it is a busy day around the OHL, kicking off the second half of the season. 18 of the 20 teams all in action. As this is the exciting part of the season for fans with the trade deadline around the corner. We had three significant moves today. We'll touch on that in the first intermission. And the trade deadline just around the corner as Emerton takes a shot, and that's stopped by McIver.
He's trying to get pucks to the net there. And then the last time these two teams met, North Bay won it. Outstanding third period by Cole Bodwin helped get that game into overtime. And Barrie lost on home ice. Much better effort on the Sunday here in North Bay, and Colts look to build on that.
And we're going to get a face-off or a penalty right off the draw. It looks like it's going to be a high stick against the Barrie Colts. As Pereira is being looked at, it's going to be for 2 minutes. So heading to the box will be Alexander Sementsov.
Sementsov again, and the chance here for North Bay. The Colts, a good start in this one early on, but it's North Bay with these power plays. These special teams could be a difference in a game that you expect really is going to be one of those grind-out games. These chances on the power play are going to be key for both these teams.
Now, specialty teams has been a bit of an issue for North Bay. Their power play ranked 18th in the OHL at 17.6%, while the penalty kill continues to improve for Barrie, 10th at 77.9%. Face-off won by the Battalion, comes back to the point. Here's Warren. Cam Warren takes this one down low, back to the blue line. Greer takes their shot. What a crowd, and Ben Harevic able to make that save as the Colts kind of opening a lane there, so Ben Harevic could see that shot.
North Bay gets Warren back, and that's a big addition to get back into that lineup and help that power play out. And Revik's going to have to come up big and able to see that one all the way through. Colts do a good job keeping that lane open. That's what you want to do for your goaltender. Make sure that he sees it.
Still no Caden Petrie in the lineup for the North Bay Battalion, as that's the one big player out of the lineup here this afternoon for the Battalion. As the puck's down low, Warren trying to move it around, sends it back to the point. Greer sends that one across the procession. His shot blocked in front. Getting in the way was Passmore. Carter Lowe gets a stick on it. He's going to send it out to center ice. Knocked down by Kent Greer. Sends that one forward. Warren dropping it back to Moses. Moses cuts to the middle, passes down low. Callie across. That goes off the skate of Eliasson. And the Colts are able to get this one down the length of the ice. Power play now down to a minute 7 here for North Bay, as they're going to regroup deep in their own zone. Greer sends this one ahead. With possession, that's Amidovsky passing this one near side. That's deflected. That'll escape the zone. Harper collects it, sends it forward. North Bay trying to regroup in the neutral zone. That's Bronson Ride. He's forced to go back to Amidovsky. Battalion get it out of their zone. Amidovsky gets this one off his skate. He's stood up there by Jaden Newton. Puck sent deep. Puck's on the near side. The Battalion, they pick it up in the corner to Brotsev. He can't keep that one. Puck goes to the far boards. Battalion still with possession. Trying to do the timer. Stopped by Harebic. Firing that point blank was Parker Vaughn. McIver trying that long pass, trying to catch the Colts on the line change. Here's Amidovsky into the attacking zone. Backhand pass in front. The save second. Stretches across. What a save by Ben Harebic, as he seems to be dialed in already.
What a great stop. And the old cliche that your best penalty killer got to be your goaltender. And Ben Harebic with Fiber getting that puck right up the ice to catch the Colts or making a line change. And it creates an opportunity. And Harebic just stretching out that right pass. Outstanding early save here. With just 16 seconds remaining on this North Bay power play.
And that's 5 shots on this man advantage here for North Bay, as they win this one back to the point. Ride, though, can't keep that one in at the point. That's going to go back to the North Bay end. McIver, he's going to give it up to Bronson Ride. Ride, moving this one forward. His pass ahead. That's Nolan Laird down in the corner. He takes a bump. Battalion quick pass in front. Block. Second chance. Stopped by Harebic, as that save comes as the penalty comes to an end. So North Bay 0 for 1 on the power play.
0 for 1, but a couple of great late chances by North Bay with that man advantage, and Ben Harebic having to be sharp here early in this one. Class saving that time there. A couple of whacks at it front, and Harebic holding his ground.
Well, it's a very important game here for the North Bay Battalion. They have a game in hand on the Barrie Colts, 5 points back in the Central Division standings. So a chance to go within 3 points with a win here this afternoon. Colts get it deep. Here's Desiderio. Sends it back to Vader at the blue line. Armstrong on the near wing. Takes the shot. Sam McIver seeing through the forest of legs in front. Yet Edgar and Desiderio parked in front, but makes the save.
What a nice job there by McIver. I mean, all sorts of traffic in front. Armstrong kind of recognized that from the point and just stepped in and trying to keep that one low to the ground. But McIver gets out that big man. He always seems to play well against Barrie. I don't know what it is with North Bay, but they always kind of save their best for the Colts.
I always find Mike McIver one of those underrated goaltenders in the Ontario Hockey League. And as you mentioned, yeah, he always seems to put on a solid performance against these Barrie Colts. Puck sent around, Harper chasing after it. Wellenrider comes up with it now for North Bay. Hits the brakes, they'll try the other side. Harper gets to the line, not out, kept in by Lowe. That's going to go around the boards. Reaching for it there was Ride, that got by him. Battalion, send it ahead. Far side, Wellenrider. Procession reaches for it, carrying this into the Barrie zone. Vader gets a stick on it. Battalion back to the blue line. Your side, that's Ride. Ride towards the net, trying to get the deflection. That was Procession at the side of the net, but that goes wide. Wellenrider gets it down low. Battalion trying to move this one around at the point. That's Ride. Bronson Ride with a shot. That goes wide of the net. Harper comes off the point to play it. Comes up to the blue line. He's going to send this one around. Ryder Callie collects it behind the Barrie net. Trying to put it out in front. Wellenrider couldn't get to it in time. Colts trying to pounce on it. Ends up behind the net. Teague Vader. He'll find it here for the Colts. Up ahead to Gardner. Brad Gardner. Over to Emerton on the near wing. Both teams are making changes. 4.5 minutes gone here in the first period. Still no score. Jonah McCormick down low. He's bumped by Ride. Pereira will backhand this one, but that doesn't connect. Karamov gets this one out. Armstrong from his own blue line ahead. Asadorian trying to go up to Nolan Newton. He was tied up, and that's going to be an icing call against the Barrie Colts.
And that's the first thing. The first couple of shifts, Barrie had some good momentum as McCormick now drawing up, and McCormick getting involved there with a big North Bay defenseman there. But again, the Colts had a good start to this one, a couple of good shifts, but you take that penalty, and all of a sudden North Bay's got the momentum here in the last few minutes.
So this faceoff will come to the left of Harevik, won by Asadorian. Eliasson, he'll pick this one up. Colts defenseman avoids the hit, but in the process, the puck goes out of play. And no surprise, Eliasson getting some attention here from the North Bay players. That was Amadovsky, but nothing more will come of that.
Well, you got Aitchison away, and Gabriel Eliasson just getting a ton of minutes. And such an important factor on that penalty kill. And he's one of those guys that really relishes that. He said, "That's me. That's my game." Playing the shutdown guy, the defensive guy, and Dylan Smoskowitz said, right away when he came, he was begging. He wanted minutes on the penalty kill, and that's where he wanted to make his kind of stamp, and he's certainly done that here.
Well, for Gabriel Eliasson, he leads the OHL in penalty minutes. I know that's an area that the Colts want to address going in the second half, trying to reduce those penalty minutes taken while still being a hard team to play against. As Slander keeps us into the North Bay zone. Karmanov deep in his own zone. Slander putting on some pressure there. He'll go to the far side. Manzo gets this one out for North Bay. Puck's at center ice. Mensah gets this one back to Armstrong. Ethan Armstrong from his own blue line sends this one across to Jaden Newton. Newton enters the zone, takes the shot, deflected. McIver gets a toe on it. Sementsov, he's knocked over. Loose puck. Slander can't get to it in time as Manzo sends it forward. Here's Warren. Enters the zone for the Battalion. Cuts to the middle. Takes the shot. Didn't get all of that. Ends up behind the net. Justin Hanser will pick this one up along the boards. Vaughn gets a stick on it before Sementsov. Battalion with possession to the net. Stopped by Harevik. What a save. He robbed Arnsey Pronin. Puck goes back into the North Bay zone as Ben Harevik. He has been tested early in this hockey game, and man, oh man, he is ready to play. Here's another chance for the Battalion. That goes wide of the net. There's a chance. It's blocked. That's going to come to the near side. Picked up by Edgar. Edgar trying to get it out of the zone. Jabratsev keeps that one in the Barrie end. Jabratsev, he's knocked over by Passmore. What a hit by the Colts defense. I guess these two teams are well rested after that Christmas break.
No signs of excess turkey.
Puck goes deep. Battalion send this one around into the skates of Ryder Carey. Puck taken away by Edgar. Sends towards the net. Blocked by Greer. Ken Greer will send this one forward. Battalion moving out to center ice. Carrying that one ahead is Debratsev. That pass ends up in the far corner. Debratsev gets a chance. Stop. Rebound. And Harevik with another two big stops as he shuts the door. North Bay just pouring it on offensively. Right now out shooting Barrie 7-4.
Oh, Ben Harevik just outstanding and picking up where he left off in that first half. And, you go back again, he's passed over the NHL draft, and it was tough. You talk to scouts, everybody said he was going to go in the NHL draft, and all of a sudden you don't get picked. And it's how you respond from that. And, talking to the coaching staff, they said he was ready to go. And David Volitsky, the goaltending coach, said he just the right mindset, determined to kind of, hey, you guys made a mistake, and what do? You come back, and he's just been outstanding in that first half. And already here early on, the only reason North Bay isn't up in this game is Ben Harevik.
And we saw that the media poll was released yesterday looking at the first half, and Ryder Fedorov was voted as the best goaltender in that first half from the Ottawa 67s, but honorable mention went to Ben Harevik. So Harevik, he's getting noticed around the rest of the league.
Well, you got it. The media poll, we all kind of get asked those questions, right? And how can Ben Harevik's name not be in that conversation? He's just been outstanding. He's faced the second most shots in the Ontario Hockey League. You look at his save percentage, right up there among the best, and that just speaks volumes to just how good he was in that first half.
Yeah, his save percentage top 5 in the OHL. It's Matthew Minchak of the Frontenacs who leads that category right now. Face-off line by the Battalion. They'll send this one back. Karmanov, he'll take the shot. That goes wide of the net. Desiderio after the loose puck. He'll knock this one out to center ice. Battalion dump it right back in. Horevic, he's going to let that one go. Justin Hanser there to play it. Backhanded up the ice. Eamon Edgar drops it back to Bodie Stewart. Stewart forces his way into the North Bay zone. That pass, no look to Desiderio. Puck kept in by Passmore. Evan Passmore with a lane. His shot on goal, but McIver with that quick glove save as it looked like a broken play, but the Colts just forced their way to the net.
Well, what a nice play there by Evan Passmore, the New York Rangers prospect. And again, you see them pinch again more offensively. Look, this is a team that had 1 goal in 3 games. They know they got to create more, and you got the defense being a little bit more active here in this one. And Passmore stepping up there and getting a shot on net. I think we're going to see that throughout this game where the Colts, the blue line, get a little bit more active back there in an effort to try to create some offense.
Face off to the left of McIver. Brad Gardner is going to take the draw here against Laird. Won by the Battalion. Ride sends this one around. Harper up to Amidovsky. Gets the line, not out, kept in by Gardner. Low, trying to collect that bouncing puck. Harper sends it behind his own net. Chasing after it are the Battalion. Pereira gets the line, not out, kept in again by Gardner. Pereira along the boards. Loses it to Gardner. Colts with possession. Emerton at the point. Passes this one up to Crombie, but that's knocked out to the neutral zone. Emerton trying to play it, turns it over, gave it to Pereira. His shot goes wide the net. That bounces behind the goal. Colts trying to regain possession. It's Brad Gardner who will find it. He'll skate this one ahead. Gardner dumping this one in. Behind the net is McIver to play it. He'll continue it around the boards. Battalion go back behind their net. Crombie takes it away in front, but McCormick couldn't get there in time. Vader sending this back behind the North Bay net. There's Calvin Crombie. Crombie trying to keep it away from Ryan. Has it in the corner. Takes the hit. Battalion move this one forward. Amidovsky will get it out. Near side to Laird. That goes off his stick. Pereira will dump this one in. Horevic behind his own net. North Bay making a line change here. There's a collision with the official. Colts move it in. Here's Jonah McCormick. Lawson in his skates, and actually it's going to be an offside call. Didn't even hear the whistle.
McCormick, I mean, you know, the physicality that it brings, and you see the confidence level start to go way up. Look, players, you know, they're trying to find. He got in a few games last year that played a much bigger role here this season, and you know, finding his way into the lineup regularly here, and it's paying off.
Colts send it deep behind the net. Nearly taking it away. There was Teague Vader. Acidorian has a bounce on him. McCormick shot blocked. His stick breaks. Battalion will get it out. Skating it forward is Moses on the wing. Moses, he's run into the boards. Vader kind of got the worst of that collision. Puck's behind the Barrie net. Battalion trying to put it out in front. That's blocked. McCormick comes up with it. Jonah McCormick. He'll flip this one down the ice. Papagoritis will knock it down for North Bay. Dumps this one in. Horevic out of his nets as we're past the 9-minute mark of the first. Still no score. North Bay leading on the shot clock 9-5. That's going to go down the length of the ice, and an icing call here against the Barrie Colts.
It took a little bit back for that penalty for Barrie to kind of find its rhythm, but it's starting to come together here. Now, this is pretty much the game we expected between these two teams. Hey, look, I mean, they're quite familiar with. They look at the standings, and for North Bay, they want first in division. They know what it means, that second spot in the conference, and you get to avoid Brantford or Ottawa, the way Ottawa is playing. But for Barrie, they lost 2 games back-to-back against North Bay, looking for a bit of revenge here.
Yeah, Barrie with that 0-1-1 record so far against the Battalion this season. It's been over 2 months since these two teams last met. As Nolan Newton's going to dump this one in.
Barrie was busy with Sudbury.
And we still have Sudbury coming up New Year's Eve.
I know.
That's 7 of 8 meetings. Battalion get this one deep. Zabrantsev taken to the boards by Hanser. Battalion trying to move it around. Along the board, Sementsov has that one knocked away from him. Colts, they'll find that loose puck. Hanser puts it off Sementsov, and he'll clear it down the ice. Won't be icing. Karmanov has to come back to play it. Salandra takes him into the boards. Karmanov has it in his skates. Trying to jam that one along the boards. Jaden Newton passes in front. Desiderio shot stopped by McIver. Pucks to the side of the net. Karmanov ends up on top of his own goaltender. The giant defenseman, not sure what happened there, as Emerton's going to send this one ahead. Salandra sends it deep, ends up behind the North Bay net. There's Desiderio. Desiderio, he's tied up by Procession. Battalion gets the line and out. Eliasson will send it back into the North Bay zone. Battalion with it. Long pass. Wellenreiter chasing after it. He's cut off there by Emerton. Eamon Edgar back behind his own net. Emerton's going to move this one forward. Puck's taken away. Procession, though, skates into Ryder Cali. And the Colts will get this one out and down the ice. Bronson Ride back to collect it here for North Bay. Side of the net. Desiderio gets to it first. He's trying to do the no-look pass to Edgar. Evan Passmore keeps this in the North Bay zone. His stick's tied up. Still trying to play it along the boards. Battalion get this one out to center. Justin Hanser with possession. Now down to 9 minutes remaining in the first period. Great action to start off the second half of the season as the Battalion will dump this back into the Barrie zone. Hanser comes up with it. Long pass. Passmore deflects it, so no icing. Ride back to collect it from his goaltender. Harper from the corner. Ahead finds Pereira. Pereira's pass blocked by Bodie Stewart. That's going to bounce into the Barrie zone. Vader sends this one around. Reaching for it is Armstrong. He's trying to catch up to it. Taken away by Amidovsky. He's forced out to center ice. Amidovsky, he'll dump this one in for the Battalion. Horevic behind his net to play. Gives it to Armstrong. Colts trying to regroup. It's Brad Gardner deep in his own zone. His pass blocked. Battalion keep this one in. Down low, that's Amidovsky. Has it out of the corner. In front, Pereira. Kapagridis, his shot on goal. And Horevic makes the save. As this North Bay Battalion team just putting on that pressure as soon as the puck goes deep.
The Colts not able to get the puck out, and Amidovsky can score that one. It goes off the stick of a Colt. Right back to Kapagridis, and he gets an opportunity. But Barrie with a forecheck, they're starting to generate chances. And Desiderio had the puck all alone out front after some great work in the corner. And
well, the Colts are generating their chances. They're right now being outshot 10-6. As the Colts get this one down the ice, Greer skates after it. Icing is waved off. Greer sends this one back to Kapagridis. Crombie on the forecheck delivers the hit. Kapagridis up to Amidovsky. He's tied up by Emerton. Cole Emerton trying to dig this one free. Crombie behind the net, poked away by McIver. As Crombie was trying to put that out in front quickly. That's going to go down the length of the ice. And an icing call now against the North Bay Battalion with 7:42 remaining in the first period.
Gabriel Elias in there and pulls off the man. But again, this Barrie team, they're at their best when they got that forecheck going. And, they're pressuring the North Bay defense into quick decisions, and that's leading to opportunities. And pretty good pace here for the first game back. You expect maybe a little bit sluggy, but not these two teams. They've gone right at it.
Oh, they were both ready to go here this afternoon as the puck's at the point. Emerton takes the shot. That's blocked. Getting in the way was Kapagridis. They'll get it out to center. Emerton sends it right back into the zone. Delayed offside against the Colts. McIver. They'll leave it there behind his own net for Kent Greer. Greer sends this one ahead. Moses. That's center. He'll dump it in. That's going to go around the boards. Passmore chasing after it. Up the wing. Jaden Newton gives it up to Salandra. Salandra sends this one deep. McIver back behind his own net to play it. Newton on the forecheck. Puck's at the point. Smentsov couldn't get a stick on it. Skating it ahead. That's Warren, but he's stopped by Passmore. Justin Hanser will carry it in for the Colts. Barrie right now making a line change. Hanser has it down low for Barrie. The defenseman staying with it. Hermanov takes him into the boards. Battalion come up with it. It's Cam Warren. He'll reach center ice. That's poked off his stick. Good work there by McCormick. Armstrong sends that one ahead. Hanser on the wing. He'll send this one deep. Goes off Hermanov, so no icing. Back behind his own net to play it is Adrian Manzo. Manzo sends it forward. Warren taking his time. Gives himself some space now. He'll skate it to center and dumps it in. That's going to bounce on net. Horevic not taking any chances. He had Ryder Carey right in front of him, but he's going to hold on.
Great job. Sometimes those ones can be tricky. You get the flip in and you got to be careful to bounce there. Nice job by Horevic to kind of take that in, especially with Carey right on the first step. But the second half, it really kicks off from here, and you got the deadline obviously around the corner, but all of a sudden, you start looking at the standings more and more. Who's here, who's where, who are going to play in the first round, and the battles for the top of the division, like these two teams. You start scoreboard watching a lot more, if you notice that.
And I'm sure Barrie Colts fans wanting to keep an eye on what's going on also with the trade front involving Niagara as McCormick runs over his man as Greer was taken down, and then he also runs over Kapagridis. Jonah McCormick, a one-man wrecking crew. That's sent deep into the North Bay zone. McIver will play it up. Greer, long pass up to Pronin. Pronin nearly had that picked off by Edgar. Greer follows it up here for the battalion. He'll skate it in. That's sent around the boards. Cronin after it for North Bay. Has it in the near corner. Bodie Stewart will tie him up. Colts recover. Teague Vader will skate it out for Barrie. Vader reaches center. He'll dump this one in. Bouncing towards the net. Taken away by Capagoritis. Eamon Edgar will chase him behind the net. Battalion send this one around. Ryder Callie on the near side. He'll dump this one out. Taken away by Hanser. Hanser enters the zone. Takes the shot. Sam McIver with that quick glove save as he was well out of his blue paint to make that save.
Well, again, the Barrie defense very active in this one, and Hanser jumping in right into that slot area, taking a shot. Already the trade deadline kicking off, and a couple of former Barrie minor midgets involved in a couple of key trades there. And, interesting, Kingston already kind of looking to the future there, and they made a nice move. They give up a guy like Hopkins, but you get McLean and a former Barrie minor midget, and Logan Howery, another one. So, it's always interesting. Everybody's kind of checking, wondering who's going to do what. But I think the coaches, the important factor is too that it's tough. You got to keep your team focused and not worry about that. And, it's tough for the players, right? Because you're wondering, okay, what's going to happen? And that trade deadline week is always, I think, the toughest on junior hockey players because you always get that big sense of relief after, the trade deadline pass. All right, we know who's here, you're a group, and go from there. But for these young guys, I mean, they make friends with the teams they're on. They make friends with the community. They like where they're at. So once you kind of get past that deadline, you get back. But the important thing now is just keep the focus on the ice.
Well, and with the world of social media, too, these players are keeping tabs on what's being said on X and on Facebook and Instagram. And it is a tough time, especially considering these are young players in this Ontario Hockey League. But I'm sure the excitement is still there with everybody wanting to know if they're going to be a buyer or a seller. The North Bay Battalion with it. There's a shot stopped by Horebic. Puck sitting there. And the Colts still get this one out down the ice. That's going to be an icing call with under 5 minutes remaining in this first period.
Garner, that one, Rich sitting in front of the net there, and Garner rolls it down the ice. Well, again, I think, it's Sunday. You forget that these are young men, and it's tough. It's, trade deadlines, but, that's part of the game. And I think that's something that, when they go on to that next level, if they want to play pro hockey, that's a big part of it too as well. So it's a development league, and, that's part of the development.
Yes, all in the learning experience for these players as the puck's kept in the zone. There's the shot. It's going to go wide. Hands up in the corner. Hanser sends it up to Crombie. Crombie can't get to it. Procession sends it behind the net. Wellenreiter with possession, puts it in front, knocked away by Gardner. Puck's behind the Colts net. Gardner trying to settle it down, facing pressure there from Callie. Ryder Callie, he's tied up by Passmore, plays to the corner. Procession after it. It's in Procession, back to the blue line. Here's Harper. Harper takes the shot, blocked in front, but Horebic, he's able to get on top of that one, and he'll hold on.
I think the thing too, just continue with that talk about the trade deadline too, is everybody gets excited. You all agree with the players they want. Well, that comes at a price, right? I mean, you're giving up young players. You're really giving up a lot of draft picks, and it's key, and it takes an effect on what's going to happen next year and the years down the road. So, GMs right now, they've had a bit. I think they've pretty much well made up their minds what they're doing here for the most part. And now it's just really collecting those phone minutes, those cell phone minutes.
Well, I'm sure Marty Williamson, the general manager of the Barrie Colts, he's been busy trying to figure out what direction the Colts are going to go in. As there's a delayed penalty call here. It looks like it's against the Battalion. McIver was making his way to the bench. As North Bay will touch it in the neutral zone, so we'll get the call. And the Barrie Colts, they're going to get their first power play of the hockey game.
4 minutes remaining, and we talked about the importance of special teams in a game like this where you've had trouble scoring and there are key offensive opportunities for Barrie. And see if they can take advantage of this man advantage here late in this first period.
So it's a high stick against Jax Pereira. So the Barrie Colts going on the frontline hockey apparel power play. You can find Frontline Hockey Apparel at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. And for the Barrie Colts, their power play right now, 5th overall at 23.1%. And then you look at the penalty kill in North Bay, sitting 16th. That's 75.2%. Battalion win the draw. They're going to send this one down the length of the ice. Horevic decides to stay in his blue paint as Cole Emerton comes back to play it. Emerton will drop this one back to Gardner. Brad Gardner behind his own net. He'll skate this one forward, drops it back to Salandra. Joe Salandra up to Emerton. Emerton enters the zone. He's stopped at the blue line, taken away by Procession. Here comes Procession shorthanded. He's forced to peel back. Procession sends it back into the neutral zone as the Battalion were changing the penalty kill unit. North Bay still with it, taking time off this Colts power play. Now Carter Lowe will find it. 1:18 left in this power play for the Barrie Colts. Joe Salandra will skate this one out. Lost it in his skates. That's poked away by Vaughn. Parker Vaughn was hauled down. The fans here wanted a penalty, but none coming. Cole Emerton. He'll pass this one across. Newton drops it back. Vaughn takes it away again. Nice move there. Another move, but now he'll lose possession of it as Parker Vaughn. He's killing this penalty all on his own right now for the North Bay Battalion. Deke Vader comes out from behind his own net. Vader dropping it back to Edgar. Tim and Edgar. He'll enter the neutral zone. Skates this one in. Up to Passmore. Passmore taken into the boards. And again, the Battalion, they're just going to clear this one down the ice. 28 seconds left in the power play for the Colts. As Pereira, he's the one in the penalty box right now for North Bay. Vader dropping it back to Bodie Stewart. Stewart through the neutral zone. He'll carry this one in. Stewart along the boards. He's stopped there by Manzo. Puck's in the corner. Adrian Manzo bumped there by Passmore. 8 seconds left in the power play. Back to the point for Vader. Over to Jaden Newton. His shot blocked in front by Harper. He's going to take it into the boards, and that'll do it for the first power play of the hockey game for the Barrie Colts. Pereira out of the box. Sprung on a breakaway. Almost. Puck goes wide, and Horevic, not taking chances, had it covered, but decided to play it to Teague Vader instead. Bronson Ride knocks it down at center ice, passes it forward. Pereira chasing after it. He'll drop this one back. Amidovsky's shot blocked by Passmore. Gets it again in the corner. He's tripped up in the corner. Pereira after it now for North Bay. Bronson Ride at the blue line takes the shot wide of the net. Now we got another penalty call, this time against the Barrie Colts. Laird dropping it back to Greer. The extra attacker is on the ice. Bronson Ride at the point, sends it down low. Here's Laird. He's going to come back to the blue line for North Bay. Takes the shot through a crowd. It's behind Horevic. He falls on top of it. As now we'll get the call. Jaden Newton tying up Amidovsky with an extra rough stuff here. We'll see if there's any extra penalties, but the original one is going against Barrie.
Well, again, the Colts ain't able to do anything on that power play, and all of a sudden you give North Bay the momentum, and you could see it. After the penalty kill, they continue, and you end up drawing the penalty, and the troops, well, their second power play, well, this first period, 1:13 remaining, and great work there. Is putting in the corner, and Evan Passmore on top, and he ends up hauling his man down. The North Bay player trying to get back up, and Passmore just wraps that left arm around him, and he's going to get a couple of minutes here to cool off.
So it's a holding penalty against Evan Passmore, who seemed to be taking his time to get off of Bronson Ride there in the corner.
Passmore, turkey and stuffing, it
slows you down a bit.
Down a little bit.
We're now in the final minute of this first period. Still no score. Puck's taken away by Gardner. He's going to put it back in the North Bay zone. Battalion forced to regroup here as Greer's going to skate it back behind his own net. Greer skates this one forward, drops it back. Picked up here by Warren. Over to Procession. Ethan Procession passes this one over. Knocked down there by Warren. Callie knocks it ahead, but the Colts, they're going to get this one out to center. Greer, he's there for the Battalion. North Bay trying to skate this one in. Taken away there by Jaden Newton. Newton skating it up shorthanded. Jaden Newton on the wing. Forced to the outside by Greer. He's just going to take this one to the boards. Takes a hard hit there from Procession. Now the Battalion get it out. Here's Cam Warren. 18 seconds left in the period. Warren enters the attacking zone, facing pressure there from Salandra. There's a shot, and a nice glove save by Horevic, as that was Shamar Moses firing that in the high slot.
former Colt, gets into that high slot. Rebick right there to make the stop there, gets up the glove hand, and 12.5 seconds remaining. A draw in the very zone. Big face-off coming here. You want to get possession here to not give North Bay one last crack at it here at this near the end of this first period.
Zabratsev in to take the face-off for North Bay. Up against Brad Gardner. Gardner will send this one to the corner. Carter Lowe trying to dig it behind the net. Battalion moving along the boards. Here's Harper off the point. Backhand blocked by Gardner. Zabratsev back to the point. Wellenreiter takes the shot, stop, rebound, and there it comes at the buzzer as the Battalion crashing the net. But Ben Horebic, he has been solid after this first 20 minutes here in North Bay.
Really, in North Bay outshoots Barrie 16-7, and we're second power play. Still going to have 47 seconds remaining on this Passmore penalty to start the second period. But how about Ben Horebic? Just, he's picked up right where he left off in that first half.
Well, he was given the honorable mentions in that media poll, and we're seeing why with just some of those point-blank saves. And even with two power plays here, Battalion, they could easily be up maybe 2-3-0 after that first period with some of those grade A opportunities they had.
There's no doubt, he's been the difference in this one, so far here in the sense that, Barrie able to keep him off the board. Barrie comes out of that opening 20 minutes. Okay, there's a couple of, you took a couple of penalties and, maybe, not the greatest first period that you want, but again, you escaped it with the help of your goaltender. And now in this middle second, you kind of look to turn things around and try to gain some momentum here, especially early.
And we've been seeing more of the forecheck than what we saw in especially that game against the London Knights, where the Barrie Colts had a hard time getting much of anything going in that hockey game. Crombie especially. I think he came back early from injury that weekend, but you give him a week from that Christmas break, and it seems as though that's kind of helped him a little. We're seeing him be involved a lot more with the physicality, especially down low.
Oh, that's his game, right? He's a guy that, he's not afraid to get in the corners, not afraid to go to the net, take the punishment in those attempts, to create something. And I think for Barrie, again, look, you gotta find ways to get what's called dirty goals, right? And get pucks to the net, get bodies in front of the net, and just really keep things simple and hope that you can break out this kind of offensive, struggles that you've been in.
Now, pregame, Josh McCann had the chance to have a conversation with Jaden Newton, and tonight we have two Newtons. Nolan Newton called up from the Greater Sudbury Cup, so we want to make sure that we're bringing up the right Newton. And for Jaden Newton, he's a guy that you can almost put anywhere in the lineup. We had him on that Newton line with McCormick and whatnot, and it just seems as though for Jaden Newton, his game has taken that next step here this season.
Yeah, again, it's opportunity, and all of a sudden, you get into that third year and play a big role. I think offensively, Jaden Newton's always been kind of one of those hard-hitting guys, physical, defensive, he's going to punch out there. Well, he's getting some opportunities on that. He's playing up here in the top six, and this game he's getting opportunities. The one thing about Jaden Newton I've always noticed is, you look at the offensive numbers, you say what, but if you go through those points, especially his goals, they're pretty nice goals.
They are.
He had a beauty here in North Bay a couple of years ago. So it really speaks, you wonder, okay, what if you just gave him a chance? You wanted to see a little bit more. And, here's this opportunity with some guys away to take a bigger role, especially offensively.
So here's the conversation that Josh had with Jaden Newton in the pregame.
Joined by Colts forward Jaden Newton. Jaden, it's the first game after the Christmas break. How was getting some time off and spending some time with family?
Yeah, it was really nice. We all got a nice break. Like you said, spent time with family. Just did a lot of visiting. We don't get a lot of time off during the year, so it was pretty nice getting to see all of our family and just taking a little break from hockey.
Feels like a pretty big game coming out of the break here. Barrie, North Bay, battling right now for the Central Division. Feels like a huge 2 points on the line today.
Yeah, no, this is a first place game for us. We talked about it before. We have some guys in the room that need to step up. We have guys gone. It's a good opportunity for guys like us to show what we can do and prove it to our team.
Now this stretch of games here, you've been playing a lot of divisional opponents, Brampton, Niagara, Sudbury, as well as North Bay as of late. Is there any one team there in the division?
I wouldn't say there's one team. I feel like in our team, we get up for every single game. No matter what team it is, we come to the rink ready every single day. So yeah.
Now, looking at your role in the team over the last couple of years, it kind of changes game by game. You've been able to move up and down the lines as not only the season goes on, but as the games go on. Is that kind of how you feel your goal is on the ice, is trying to work on all 4 lines?
I mean, I feel like I could play anywhere in the lineup. I feel like I play a lot of different roles. So this is a really good opportunity for me right now with these guys gone, playing more, getting more opportunity. So I'm just trying to take advantage of that.
You were online a couple weeks ago with Jonah McCormick and Luke Govro, and it felt like everywhere you guys went, you were laying the body, running the offensive zone. What was it like when you guys were together?
Yeah, like I said, I think I could play any role. You know, those 2 guys play that role amazing too. We were there to create energy, and you know, we did. I feel like we did our job. You know, like you said, going around, always noise on the glass. But yeah.
Now, that was the line you were on when you scored the teddy bear toss goal. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was just, I got lucky. That was the goal I scored. But yeah, it was pretty cool just getting celebrated with the teammates. Like I said before, it goes to a good cause. So, you know, it feels pretty cool getting that one.
You know, second line today, you got Alexander Sementsov on your wing. He's playing only his 3rd OHL game. What do you got to do to try and help him out there on the ice?
Yeah, I think he's a really good player. You know, he's just like we all did. You know, I'm there with him. I can stick up for him and stuff. So I think he just gotta play his game and try and focus on what he's good at, and I think he'll be good.
Noel Newton in the lineup today. Is it weird not being the only Newton around here?
He's been up and down, so we've experienced it before, getting our first letters, taking off our jerseys and stuff. But yeah, it's funny.
Jaden, thanks for doing this. Best of luck there.
No problem. Thank you.
Welcome back to North Bay as it's the first intermission here between the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion. No score to report after the first period, and I know in the coach's corner with Dylan Smoskowitz, he said he'd be okay if it was another 1-0 score, kind of like what we saw in Brampton, as long as they get the 2 points. But overall, not a bad opening period there if you're a fan of the Barrie Colts.
Yeah, they got off. I thought they got off to a good start, took that penalty, kind of took away a bit of momentum, and then, did a good job. I think, they're at their best when they're pressuring up front, and that forecheck, they got the forecheck going, and they get on top of the North Bay defense. When you force them to make quick decisions, that leads to chances. But again, you got to stay out of the box. North Bay, the Barrie power play opportunity gave North Bay some late life, and that led to another North Bay power play opportunity. So Colts going to have to kind of figure out a way on the power play. Obviously, got some big guys missing, but some other guys may have to step up. And, once you kill this penalty here, 47 seconds remaining, you hope you kill that and find a way to create some offense.
Now, we do have the chat live right now on the channel, and I know we've got Tammy who's been commenting and pointing out that we seem a little slow, but looking at our Wi-Fi numbers, the Wi-Fi not the strongest here in North Bay, so It may come and go, so hopefully it'll be on the better side as this broadcast continues. But we do have the chat if you want to join the conversation. Three big trades in the Ontario Hockey League today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, the out-of-town scoreboard. It's a very busy day to start off the second half of the regular season. The Kitchener Rangers right now up 1-0 on the Erie Otters. That's after the first period. The Niagara Ice Dogs, who Ethan Zada, Niagara right now up 1-0 on the Brampton Steelheads. The Brantford Bulldogs, an Owen Sound attack. No score to report from the Bayshore. The Saginaw Spirit up 3-0 on the Sioux Greyhounds. That one's a bit of a surprise. And then later on this afternoon, it's Ottawa versus Kingston. Windsor will be in Flint. The Oshawa Generals are taking on the Peterborough Petes, and the Sarnia Sting are up against the London Knights. Now, the trades that happened earlier today, the first one that broke was between the London Knights and the Sarnia Sting. Howery moving on to Sarnia for Brown going the other way, who happens to be Aiden Brown's younger brother.
Yeah, Aiden Brown's younger runner, and I like that trade. I mean, obviously, you give up a talented guy like Howery. You just really couldn't get it going in London. And, the interesting thing is he wanted to go to London, right? He wanted to be a London Knight. Now he's set moving. But Ryan Brown, I think, is a guy that, you look at the numbers, you think, okay, they're all right, but there's a lot more there. He's a little bit different than his brother. He's got tons of speed up front. He's an offensive player there, and he's another one of those guys that I think the change to London will do him well. And for Howery as well, you get a new start in Sarnia, get a chance to be a bigger part of the team there than maybe that deep London team, and, play a little bit more important minutes in terms of power play time, those key times. But for Howery, an opportunity here, a fresh start after, I'm sure, what's been kind of a bit of a disappointing year for him.
Yeah, and this one's kind of that traditional hockey trade, 1-for-1, trying to change things for one player with Howery and then for Brown coming the other way. And it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes because the next two games are between those two teams. So you're going to get well acquainted against your former team as early as tonight between Sarnia and London.
It's funny how that always works out. You ever notice that there's trades and then you end up playing that team the next game? And, again, I mean, they're both first-round picks, Brown a couple of years ago, and then, Howery, the Howery the 1 year younger. So Sarnia picks up an extra year there. But, I think a little bit of a change of scenery. I think Ryan Brown, it's a nice pickup, and Howery's going to be a nice pickup too. He'll be able to play a bigger role.
Now, this trade surprised me a little bit between the Kingston Frontenacs and the Guelph Storm. Tyler Hopkins going over to Guelph for Alex McLean, and then 4 draft picks, and that includes a conditional second from Kitchener in 2027. Now, for Tyler Hopkins, he's a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. He's going to be going off to this Guelph Storm team where potentially playing in the Memorial Cup next year. So this is a trade where I think for Guelph, they want to make the playoffs this year, but they're also still taking a look at next season with their preparations.
I love this trade on the both sides. I love Tyler Hopkins. He's one of those guys I like to just watch him. And I think getting the chance to play the Memorial Cup will be huge for him as well. And I think for Kingston, I love the decision here. Look, it's tough to give up those guys, your fans, and so on. Well, you bring in a young guy like McLean. I mean, this guy can put up points. He's a former budget. And, again, you bring in some youth, you look to the future, you make that move. And, you give up Tyler Hopkins, but, there's a chance in a year, he's, after next year, he's going to be gone, right? And McLean is going to play a key part of your offense here for a couple more seasons. So I like that trade. It's one of those, and again, one of these really good trades I think that both teams did well on.
And George Burnett, the general manager of the Guelph Storm, he always makes these great, clever trades. Like, he's a veteran of this league. He's been doing this now for over 30 years, and he just has that way of finding talent and then finding a way to make it work. And I feel as though this is a classic George Burnett move.
Yeah, he's got a ton of experience, right? He knows what the moves are. And look, there's no doubt you're hosting Memorial Cup next year. I take the steps. Luchenko, they've already moved him. And it's clear what the blueprint for playing is there in Guelph. And you're looking at the future. And I'll tell you, they add Tyler Hopkins. Guelph fans are going to love him. Again, he's just one of my favorites. And I think there's so much more there. And getting a chance to play in the Memorial Cup will be big, for him.
Now, this was the big trade announced right before the game between the Niagara Ice Dogs and the Flint Firebirds. So the Niagara Ice Dogs have sent Kevin He and Darcy DeWatcher to Flint, along with a 4th and 26 and a 2nd in 2029. And going the other way to Niagara, Chase Hall. We've got 2 seconds, Sault Ste. Marie and Peterborough's at 26. And then a bunch of picks after that. So the Flint Firebirds, a team that surprised many in the Western Conference, they're going all in and just making things even more fascinating when it comes to that Western Conference race.
Yeah, a trade where you sit there and saying, "What, Niagara?" I mean, they're supposed to be contending for the top spot in the Central Division, and here they are dumping it. The deadline is again, it's a tough decision, but with Kevin He, but Flint again, that Flint team, they're a really good hockey team, and they just added another big offensive piece. Kevin He hasn't had the greatest start in Niagara this year, but that guy has a ton of speed, maybe the fastest player in the Ontario Hockey League. You can make that argument, and he brings just another dimension to that offense. It's already pretty good in Flint, so that's an interesting thing. And I like Windsor, hello. I mean, you're watching all these teams. The Sioux have made a big trade, and London makes it, so it's pretty active. That, like I said, there's about 5 or 6 teams there that you could maybe expect to compete. And whether Owen Sound takes a step back and looks for a rebuild, but again, a really nice pickup for Flint and He, because if he's motivated, look out.
Yeah, and you touched on Windsor, too, because they've been very quiet. There's been speculation as to moves that they may make, but yeah, really surprised. The Windsor Spitfires, a team that many thought they would be the top team in the Western Conference, and right now it looks like Flint and other teams in that Western Conference putting on quite the challenge.
Yeah, I think, these teams, people think, okay, what are they doing? And there's no doubt Windsor, Bill Bowler's on the phone. He's talking.
Right. On the wing. He's stopped there by Eliason. Puck's in the corner. Ryder Cali trying to dig it free. 26 seconds left in the power play. There's a one-timer from Greer, and that goes wide of the net. Carter Lowe picks it up for the Colts. He'll knock this one out to center ice, and Brad Gardner flips this one deep into the North Bay zone. So 12 seconds remaining in the penalty to Evan Passmore. There's the battalion trying to get this out of their own zone. Up the wing. Moses has that one go off his skate. They'll enter the zone here. 2 seconds left in the power play. Harper at the near point. Harper makes a move to the right towards the net. Stopped by Harebic. So North Bay now 0 for 2 on the power play this afternoon. Diving for it with Salandra. Doesn't get that one to go too far as possession comes up with it. He's going to drop it back. Cali over the near side to Moses. That bounces over his skate. Eliason and Moses, they collide in the corner. Jaden Newton will dig this one free up to Salandra. Salandra sends this one forward. Here's Justin Hanser. Hanser at center ice, being pressured there by Procession. He's going to dump it in, peels off for a change. Ride takes a hard hit there from Nolan Newton. There was a quick shot, and Salandra puts it over the net. It was actually Sementsov who had that chance in front. Battalion, regroup. Greer is going to skate this one ahead. Keeps it away from Sementsov. That goes off his skate, though. Crombie skating it in now for Barrie. Calvin Crombie trying to go back to Sementsov. That passes off target. North Bay will skate it up. On the wing, Vader with a big hit there on Ryder Carey. Puck goes to the far side. After it there is Sementsov. He'll get this one out to center. Battalion with it. Vrantsev dropping it back to Ride. Pronin. That's center. Knocked down there by Vader. Teague Vader up to Crombie. Crombie, though, can't move that one ahead. Puck goes back into the Barrie zone. After it is Carey. Ryder Carey into the corner. He takes a bump there from Lowe. Battalion with it in front. One-timer stopped by Harebic as Pronin was robbed by the Barrie Colts goaltender.
Nice look by Cronin there off the pass from Dubrovtsev. And for the Barrie Colts, that first period, a lot of shots against, 16 in the first period. And felt like at some points the defense was leaving Ben Harebic out to dry. They're going to have to do a better job in their own end if they want to keep North Bay off the board.
So apologies with the tech. We have the Wi-Fi that was dropping out there a moment ago, but right now it looks like our bars are back and we seem to be having a better connection, but we're kind of at the mercy of the road internet. As Amadovsky takes this one off the boards, cuts to the middle. That's blocked by Asadorian. Manzo at the point. He'll skate this one down low. In front. That's deflected wide. Nolan Newton can't get it out. Karmanov keeps this one down low for the Battalion. Ends up back behind the Barrie net. Hanser's there. That's knocked away. Getting a stick on it was McCormick. Colts trying to get this one out of the zone. Asadorian's pass is blocked. Following it up was Passmore. Alex Asadorian on the wing. Here's McCormick. His shot scores! Jonah McCormick picks off the corner. What a shot! And the Colts have opened the scoring.
Well, ever since Jonah McCormick made his OHL debut back in March, I think all three of us have been talking about how much we love the way he plays. He plays hard. He's a fitness nut, and finally getting rewarded here with a goal. Nice play. Asadorian bringing it into the zone. Passmore able to stay on side. Then McCormick goes top shelf for a goal. And then after the play, Karmanov took down Passmore out front, shoved him down to the ground. The officials having a discussion right now. There wasn't anything called on the play, and the Barrie Colts bench not too pleased about it.
What a shot from Jonah McCormick. That's now 3 goals on the season. As I think he was ready to play today.
Yeah.
He took a run at Karmanov in the first period.
Yeah, the best part of the first period was Sementsov trying to lay a hit on Karmanov.
Well, Karmanov, 7 feet tall. He is a beast out there on the ice there for the North Bay Battalion. Moses trying to corral that bouncing puck, delayed offside, and that's going to be called against the battalion as we'll get a face-off.
Well, looking at Karmanov's stats, I mean, he's only played 5 games, but one of the things we talk about all the time with Gabriel Eliasson is when you're that big, you can sometimes take penalties that aren't really your fault, just the other guy's too small. But he's done a good job through 5 games, only 2 penalty minutes so far.
It's quite the difference from what we see with Eliasson, who's been having that's been an issue for him, trying to get used to the North American style. But for Karmanov, I think he's just trying to figure things out in general right now with the OHL after playing with the Brantford Titan of the GOHL.
There you go. You figured it out.
You're welcome. Colts send this one deep. Warren will send that one across. Emerton, he'll play it here for the Colts from his own blue line. Decides to go back to Eliasson. Eliasson to Emerton on the near side. They'll send this one forward. That's taken away by the battalion. They're going to put it back into the Barrie zone. There's Emerton ahead to Desiderio. Salandra. They'll skate this one in. Ends up in the near corner. Salandra putting on more pressure. Colts trying to dig it free. Goes behind the net. Here's Joe Salandra in front, trying to get it to Sementsov. That's taken away by Warren, and the battalion get it out. Hanser will dump this one in behind the net. That's McIver. He's going to play it. Gives that one up to Kapagridis. Kapagridis is pass forward, and look out, what a collision as Passmore runs into Ryder Cali. And it looks like they're going to call a penalty on the Colts defenseman. They're going to call this interference.
Well, Evan Passmore has been quite the physical presence today, and that one going to the box for interference. And Barrie Colts penalty kill, though, they're 2 for 2. And looking at the stats today, they've actually entered the Christmas break in the top 10 in penalty kill. It's pretty wild to think about. I mean, when this season first started, it was basically a guaranteed goal against the way the penalty kill was playing early on.
Well, quickly looking at my notes here, the last time we were here, it was 2 months ago. Trying to see if
it was right after that it started turning around.
Yeah, so I think it was about 18th, 19th at that point. But either way, the Colts getting the job done early on the penalty kills. Right now, it's Evan Passmore in the box. Face-off won by the battalion. Harper sends it down low. There's a quick shot stopped there by Horebic. That was Carey who fired that one. Wellenreiter comes off the point, off the half boards to the net. Horebic will cover it up as we get some more pushing and shoving. Right now, it looks as though, I believe that's Ryder Carey who's mixing it up with Justin Hanser. I don't think we're going to get anything out of this, but also the official having some heated words there with Ben Horebic, the goaltender.
Well, they're still going. You think these two teams miss each other? It's been very physical today.
Well, these two were featured in that first OHL rivalry week. So you know this rivalry is alive and well.
Oh, it's funny how this is only the 3rd time, and meanwhile, later this week, the Colts will play Sudbury for the 7th time.
Just the way the schedule is this year. Oh, we've only seen Brampton twice.
Well, it's funny how the way things work. But next year we could see North Bay 5 times the first half. We could see Sudbury 6 times in the second half. You just never know.
Yep. You never know what you're going to get. As the battalion, they have that knocked away at the blue line. They're on the power play now for another minute 22. Amidovsky skates it in here for the battalion on the wing. He'll hit the brakes in the corner, goes back to the blue line. Here's Harper. Harper across. Battalion with it. There's the shot blocked in front by Hanser. Battalion still with it. Zabrantsev sends that one down low. Debratsev gets it again. Wellenreiter at the point, wanted the pass. Debratsev from the half boards. Looks across. Here's Harper. Takes the shot. Puts that one over the net. That's going to sail to the blue line. Kept in by Wellenreiter. Near side, Harper after it. Jaden Newton took a swing. Battalion still with it. Here's Harper. Ahead to Debratsev. Debratsev shot right into the chest of Horebic. And then Amidovsky going to the net. As tying him up there was Gabriel Eliasson.
Nice play by Wellenreiter there at the blue line. Kind of similar to what we saw when the Colts were playing London. That was Caleb Mitchell keeping it in there, and it actually set up a goal. But this time, Ben Horebic able to make the save after a nice play to keep it in there by Wellenreiter.
So face-off coming to the left of Horebic. 45 seconds left in the penalty to Evan Passmore. Face-off won by the Battalion. Greer at the point. Sends this one across to Warren. Back to Greer. Greer to Procession. Procession across. Deflected. That goes wide of the net. That was Callie getting a piece of it. Warren takes the shot. Stopped by Horebic. Loose puck. Colts can't get to it. Vader will get it to the corner. Warren with possession. Back to the line. Greer. Procession on the near side. Back to Greer. Greer up the middle. Passes it across. Stopped by Horebic. Battalion get it again. 18 seconds left in the power play. Procession down low across. A shot across, and Horebic diving across the blue paint makes the save. Oh my goodness. Ben Horebic. He has been busy. 23 shots now from the Battalion. Here's Greer towards the net. His pass goes across. Moses there to collect it for North Bay. Power play comes to an end. His shot blocked by the post. Hits the iron twice. That was Ryder Callie. How did that not go in? Oh my goodness, Ryder Callie.
Well, what a save by Horebic before that. And then that one there, Callie, he had an open net. He just missed it as he tried to take the shot. He hits it off the post. Emerton was diving in, and then Hanser gets behind Horebic. A great job by Ben Horebic coming off a week where he was 0-2 against the Sudbury Wolves and London Knights. So maybe just wanting to take control of this game and saying, I'm not taking another loss here. It doesn't matter how much we score, I'm winning this game.
Well, he did that one save on the penalty kill where he just dove across the blue paint to make the save. And then that last one, just stretching out that left pad. And I think Ryder Callie, he might be seeing that one in his sleep for the next few days.
He's definitely going to be frustrated by that one. I thought North Bay had a couple nice looks there on the power play, but again, just not able to convert, and this very penalty kill keeps rolling.
Well, Dylan Smoskowitz said in the pregame that he'd be okay with a 1-0 win. Doesn't matter how they got the points. And right now, it may come down to the goaltending with Ben Horebic being sensational once again.
Well, that's kind of how the next couple of weeks is going to go. At the end of the day, when you don't have your stars, it's hard to ask some of these guys to just all of a sudden step up and be top line players. So you're going to have to take a few 1-0, 2-1 wins if you're the Barrie Colts. I think obviously you still want to prove you can do it without your top guys, but it's been a bit of a struggle here. Shots are 24-9 for North Bay, and that's kind of really grown from the late in the first period on to now after a couple power plays for the Battalion.
Well, especially when you give North Bay 3 power plays in this hockey game. But Ben Horebic, he has said no so far here tonight for the North Bay Battalion as that puck goes deep in the North Bay zone. McCormick's there. He's the goal scorer of this hockey game. Has it along the boards. Romanov will take him into the boards. Macedonian dumps it in. Delayed offside. McIver, he'll play it back to Manzo behind his own net. Adrian Manzo, now long pass ahead, trying to connect there. Parker Vaughn, icing is waved off. Armstrong behind his own net to play it. He'll send this one ahead to Nolan Newton. Back to McCormick. McCormick sets up Teague Vader off the boards. Astorian can't get to it in time. Puck taken the other way here by Cronin for North Bay. He'll hit the brakes. Sends this one back. Laird, he's got a lane to the net, trying to tuck it around, but lost the handle of it. In the net is Nolan Newton. Battalion can't get to it, and the Colts skate it out. Here's Asadorian. He's going to pass this across to McCormick. That bounces over his stick. Hermanov gets it behind the net. That's deflected. Manzo collects it now for North Bay. He'll send this one ahead. Knocked down by Emerton at center ice. Takes it back into his own zone. Eliasson, his pass deflected. Ends up at the North Bay blue line. Manzo's there. Desiderio ahead for Edgar. Hermanov has that one go off his skate. Procession will peel back. Gives it back to Manzo. Vaughn tips us into the zone. Emerton's going to be the first one on it here for the Colts. Drops it there for Eliason. 12 minutes left to go here in the second period. The Barrie Colts up 1-0. Wellenreiter has possession at center ice. Desiderio trying to knock it away. Puck's at the point, kept in by Kapagridis. Kapagridis takes a shot, stopped by Harevic. Puck's in the corner. Desiderio will send that one around, taken away by the Battalion. That's Wellenreiter. His shot blocked. Coming up with it is Stewart. Bodie Stewart's stick is tied up. Eliason will find it here for the Colts. He'll send that one around. Near side, that's Edgar. Edgar flips this one off the glass. That's center ice is Desiderio. That's knocked away by
North Bay's top players. The Battalion still played them hard. Those first two games this season, Barrie had the lead going into the third in the first one. North Bay was able to tie it, get the game winner as well there in the third. And then in the rematch the next day here in North Bay, it was Barrie down in the third. They would tie the game up, but then North Bay takes it in the shootout.
So look at this face-off to the left of Ben Harevic. Zabrantsev will take the draw here against Bodie Stewart. Face-off won by the Battalion. Cronin sends it back. Ride to Harper. Harper takes the shot. That's blocked. Zabrantsev in the corner. He'll leave it there. Picked up by Cronin. Back to the blue line. It's Ride. Takes the shot. Blocked by Crombie. Puck goes in the air. Near side. Stays in play. Cronin takes the shot from the sharp angle, but Ben Harevic had that pad down, keeps it to himself as Eliason was just dumped after the whistle. It looked like he was knocked over there by Arseny Cronin.
Well, it looked like to me he tried to hit Cronin and then he went down himself when he tried to send him into the boards. Nice job there by Calvin Crombie. Couple chances there from the point for the Battalion. Crombie blocks both of them and then set up that chance along the boards, but Harevic able to make the save.
So look at this face-off now to the left of Harevic. 10:42 left to go in the second period. 1-0 Barrie. Jonah McCormick, your goal scorer. As we'll see Zabrantsev tossed out. So we'll try this one again. In steps Ryder Carey. Face-off won by the Colts. Puck goes to the corner. Battalion trying to move it around. Carey gave that one up to Brad Gardner. Gardner will send this one forward at center. That's Crombie. Calvin Crombie across trying to go to low, but he couldn't get there. Puck's in the corner. Harper avoids the hit from Gardner. Gardner has it between his skates. Calvin Crombie digs this one free. Crombie in the corner trying to keep it away from Zabrantsev. He's tied up. Colts trying to keep this one down low. Gardner got a piece of it. Bronson Ride behind his own net. Carter Lowe pokes at it. That's sent ahead. Crombie takes this one away in the corner, kicks this one ahead. He's tied up there by Bronson Ride. Cronin finds it, gets to the line, and that will bounce onto the Colts bench as we just passed the midway point of this hockey game.
Frank Hanser might have kicked that one into the bench.
It was a weird bounce.
Yeah.
He did take that swing with his
tried
skate.
to use the skate. Don't know if it actually hit him, but
Well, either way, there's now the officials are having a conversation trying to figure out, okay, where do we have this face-off? So they're going to keep this one in the North Bay zone. Face-off coming to the left of McIver. Jaden Newton will take the draw here. Taken away by Karmanov. Amidovsky takes a hit there from Eliason. Sementsov sends it around the boards. Karmanov, he'll get to it first for North Bay. That's at the line. Sementsov can't keep it in. Eliason at center ice. He's going to send it back into the North Bay zone. Teague Vader gives chase. Vader overskates it. One-timer attempt by Sementsov, but he fanned on it. Battalion, they'll get this one out and down the ice. Ethan Armstrong back to play it. Armstrong's pass blocked there. Getting a stick on it was Jax Pereira. Puck goes back into the Barrie zone. Vader, he's there to collect it now for the Colts. Teague Vader being chased behind the net, gave that one away, but that's going to be a penalty. Fans don't agree. It's going to be a hold going against Liram Amidovsky.
yeah, probably a hold there on Amidovsky. Vader gets the puck in zone, going to bring it around the net, and Amidovsky comes in, grabs him from behind. Vader goes down, set up a good chance there for North Bay, but the officials do call it, and Colts are getting another power play. I believe the word dive is being used around the crowd right now, but
Well, either way, it's going to be a power play here for the Barrie Colts, brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. As it's a holding call against Amidovsky. Barrie already 0 for 1 on the power play this afternoon as that puck sent back into the Colts' end. Vader will pick it up in front of his own net. Actually, that's Emerton. Emerton has Procession behind him, still able to drop it back to Gardner. Gardner, though, has it poked away by Procession. The battalion captain causing issues here for the Barrie Colts. They're scrambling, gave it up to Wellenreiter. Wellenreiter short-handed, toe drag shot, stopped by Hrebeck. Hrebeck having to come up big despite his team being on the power play. Here's Emerton. He's going to come out from behind the net. Emerton drops this one back to Salandra. Joe Salandra reaches center ice. Flips this one into the North Bay zone. Greer will be the first one on it for the battalion. Greer sends this one forward. There's Wellenreiter. He's just going to clear it down the ice. 1:07 left in the power play here for the Barrie Colts as Hrebeck. He's going to leave it there for Cole Emerton. Emerton comes out from behind the net. Under a minute now remaining in the penalty to Amidovsky. Eamon Edgar up to Stewart. That goes off his skate. Jaden Newton sends it forward, but that doesn't go too far, and the battalion will get it out once again. Emerton there to play it here for the Colts. 42 seconds left in the man advantage. Emerton up ahead, finds Jaden Newton. He'll send that one deep, goes wide of the net. Colts trying to put on the pressure along the boards. That's Passmore from the half boards. Passmore can't hold it. Vaughn can't take that one away. Newton in front, backhand. Edgar scores on the power play. Eamon Edgar, what a beautiful backhand. And the Colts have extended the lead. It's now 2-0.
Well, talking to Jaden Newton before the game, and he told me about how those guys away at World Juniors, there's still some players that need to step up a bit more and play a bit better. And this second power play unit for the Barrie Colts doing a good job here. Passmore gets it back to the point. Nice backhander by Vader to Newton. And then down low, the battalion forgot about Eamon Edgar, able to put it home. One of the big draft picks of the Barrie Colts from last offseason. A nice play there by Edgar.
Well, it looked like the power play was just falling apart for the Barrie Colts. But Evan Passmore, great effort there at the point, kept that one in, and then Eamon Edgar benefits with his third of the season. Puck's behind the net. Hanser trying to send this one around, taken away by the battalion. It's Laird back to the point. Kapagaritis from the half boards. He'll pass this one down low. Warren back to the defense. That pass is deflected. McCormick takes it away. Jonah McCormick, he'll skate this one forward, sends it deep. Harper back to play it here for the battalion. McCormick's taken down. Play continues. Battalion with it. Here's Warren. He'll skate this one to center ice. Dumps this one into the Barrie zone. Eliasson will be the first one on it. Doesn't send it around hard enough. It's taken away by the battalion. Harper at the point. Harper gets by Asadorian. Has it in the corner. Trying to drop it back to Warren. Asadorian got a stick on it there as the Colts recover. And McCormick will skate it out. Jonah McCormick passes this one across, but Nolan Newton was going off for a change. Puck's knocked down at center ice. Picked up by Salandra. Joe Salandra, he's going to dump this one in. Ends up behind the North Bay net. Kapagaritis trying to keep it away from Jaden Newton. We'll send this one to the near side. Picked up by Warren. Warren's pass picked off. Good work there by Jaden Newton. Goes to Salandra. Salandra lost the handle of it. He was trying to do the toe drag, but his second effort, he stays with it. Passes it over to Newton. Newton can't hold on to that pass, or he had a lane to the net. Battalion get this one out. Won't be enough for icing. Eliasson has to come back to play it. Long stretch pass up to Semenson. They'll chip that one deep. Manzo comes out from behind his own net. He'll pass this one forward, nearly picked off by Vader. Carey chasing after the loose puck, beats out the icing call. Carey taken into the boards, picked up here by the Colts. Teague Vader flips this one down the ice. Kermanov settles it down at his own blue line. Sends this one ahead. Battalion, though, turn it over. Bodie Stewart, he gave it away as the battalion moving in. Nice little move there by Pereira. Puck ends up behind the Barrie net. Eamon Edgar, who scored the second goal of the game, he'll pass this one up to Sementsov. He couldn't control that pass. Ends up deep in the North Bay zone. Romanov puts that one off the glass. That's going to go all the way down the ice, and that's an icing call now against the North Bay Battalion with 5:19 remaining in the second period.
It's interesting watching Karmanov play, and it seems like North Bay, the line they like using him against is the Slanger, Semetsov, and Jade Newton's line. And for Karmanov, I mean, he's 7 foot tall, but those three forwards for the Barrie Colts, 5'9", 5'10", and 5'11", so a pretty big height discrepancy there.
He definitely stands out when you see that line, but for the Barrie Colts, good on them to put pressure there on Karmanov, as it seems like he's having some difficulties controlling that puck, especially when it ends up in his feet.
Yeah, he's had a couple issues in his own zone, and although they don't have a goal yet, I've liked the way that Newton, Semetsov, Salandra line has looked. I think they've had some good chances. Another one there, if Newton was able to slide that one across to Semetsov, he would have been wide open for a one-timer chance there. And for Barrie right now, I know the shot clock very much not in their favor. 28-10 right now for North Bay, but you've got a 2-goal lead now. And if you can start getting some more chances, get some shots to the net, it looks like Mike McIver is a bit beatable today and is as well try and even this game out and maybe not let North Bay have too many chances. If they have another big period with about 15 shots, they may still be able to get back in this game.
Well, with the way this game's going, you almost have to wonder if Ben Harevic's play is getting into the heads of the North Bay Battalion players, as their chances, they don't seem like those passes are as crisp as we saw earlier in the game.
Well, they're 2 shots away from 30 shots on net, and they have 5 minutes left in the second period. Usually when you do that, you're in for a pretty good offensive day, but nothing so far for the North Bay Battalion.
So the Battalion get it deep in the Barrie zone so they can make a line change after the icing. Gardner, though, quickly up to Crombie. Fans on the pass as Karmanov came across in time. Battalion get it out and up the ice. Here's Wellenreiter. He's got a lane to the net. Takes the shot. Stopped by Harevic. Nice blocker save. Puck ends up back at center. Crombie. His pass blocked by Ride. That's taken away by Gardner. Gardner trying to settle it down. The puck rolled on him. Gardner dropping to the corner. Crombie towards the front of the net. There's a chance. Shot over the net by Emerton. The Colts right now buzzing in that North Bay zone as Eliasson will send this one right back in. McIver behind his net to play it. He's going to do the long pass. The Colts are making a change. Wellenreiter on the wing hits the brakes. Wellenreiter sends this one forward. Procession trying to catch up to it. He will. Ethan Procession taken to the boards there by Justin Hanser. That pass to Moses around the net. Trying that wrap around, but Harevic, he was ready to come across. Hanser puts that one off the boards and down the ice. That's now an icing call against Barrie. As just the action has been end-to-end here of late in the second period.
Well, for Barrie, they've been creating some nice chances off the rush, but just a couple passes that have been fanned on over the last couple of minutes. Feels like guys are open and just not able to get those passes across. There was Calvin Crombie fanning on a pass on a potential opportunity to get it over to Carter Lowe, who was open.
So face-off coming to the left of Ben Harevic, 4:09 remaining. As Desiderio will get this out to center ice. Harper, his pass goes across. Vaughn puts that one forward to Warren. Taken away there by Stewart. He'll take him into the boards. Hanser sends it around. Vaughn in front. Warren can't get a stick on it. Now the Colts will get it out. Here's Edgar. Edgar skates this one in. Passes it up to Stewart. That was behind him. Side of the net. Trying to get to it. There's Desiderio. Passes it in front. That's picked off by Warren. Here's Greer. He's going to skate this one forward. Passes it over. Vaughn has that poked away by Hanser. Puck goes to the corner. One of the players lost his glove. It's Parker Vaughn. North Bay still with it. They give it up. Taken there by Desiderio. He's going to flip this one ahead. Nearly dumped into his own bench there by Moses. North Bay with possession. Picking up momentum is Kapagaritas. Kapagaritas back to Vaughn. Across to Debratsev. That bounced on him. Puck's in the corner. Debratsev behind his own net. McCormick trying to keep pace. Debratsev stays with it. He's tripped up. That's going to be a penalty. North Bay with it at the blue line. They can't keep it in. So delayed call coming here against Jonah McCormick. North Bay has the extra attacker. Greer passes it, but that's taken away by Hanser, and we're going to get the call. So Jonah McCormick heading off as North Bay will get their 4th power play of the hockey game.
That's going to be for a trip there for McCormick. Upending Debratsev from behind as the two of them were battling. He pushed him down a bit there and then gets the stick in the skates. Nice shift there for Parker Vaughn, and you can kind of always tell he likes playing against this former team. It's always a bit chippy against them. We saw last year the first time they faced each other, laid a hit on Dallin Wakely, and then fought Michael Durbridge. And I'm sure for guys like Vaughn and Moses, they probably look at it with a chip on their shoulder and say, hey, Barrie was contending last year and they thought so little of us that they just decided to send us out the door to a division rival of all teams.
Yeah, and that just adds to the element of this rivalry between the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion, just the history of that trade last year. Actually, I guess we could say the trades. But right now, the Battalion, they're on the power play. That's center ice. Ryder Cali gives himself some space, sends it into the Barrie zone. After it is Emerton. Newton ahead for Salandra, and the Colts, they'll get it out. Joe Salandra skating it up shorthanded. Takes a bump there from Greer. Puck goes to the corner. Salandra still there on the forecheck. Takes a bump actually from McIver. Clay continues. Procession reaches center ice. No backhand. This one over to Moses. Moses loses the handle of it, but the Colts can't get it out. Kept in by Greer. Moses gets back on his skates. Along the boards, battling there with Hanser. Procession's there now for North Bay. Passes this one back to the point, but no one could get to it there for North Bay, and that's going to go back into the Battalion zone. 56 seconds left in the penalty to Jonah McCormick. Greer in his own zone. He's going to skate this back behind his own net. North Bay taking their time. So this allows the Barrie Colts to change the penalty kill unit. Here's Warren. Cam Warren through the neutral zone. Gives it up to Vaughn. Passes it over. There's Debratsev. Blocked by Passmore. Puck goes to the corner. Eliasson sends this one ahead, and the Colts, they're going to get this down the ice. A much better penalty kill than what we've seen the first few times where North Bay was able to set things up offensively. That puck sent across. Amidovsky trying to keep it away from Emerton. Ends up behind the Barrie net. Eliasson with the hit. And again, North Bay can't keep it in the zone. Harper skates this one ahead. We're in the final minute of the second period. 5 seconds left in the power play. So North Bay, they're now 0 for 4 on the man advantage. Puck goes deep. After it is Ryder Carey. Carey puts it in front, but no one there for North Bay. Colts, they'll get this one out to center ice. Picked up by Bronson Ride. Ride sends this one deep. Horevic behind the net. He'll play it there to Emerton. Emerton, backhand pass. Gives it up to Hanser. Newton gets this one out. Asadorian chasing after it. Battalion send it back into the blue line, but picked up by Salandra. Joe Salandra cuts to the middle, passes it over to Asadorian. Asadorian over to Jaden Newton in front, poked away. Panzer winds up, fires that one wide. Emerton keeps that one in the zone as he comes off the blue line. Now the Battalion get it out. Here's Ryder Carey. Hanser chasing after it here for the Colts. He'll cut off his man. 5 seconds left in the period. North Bay in front. No one there for the troops. Emerton will send this down the ice. And that will do it for the second period as the Barrie Colts right now up 2-0 on the North Bay Battalion despite being outshot heavily 30-10.
10 for the Barrie Colts. I believe they had 7 shots in the first period, so only 3 shots there. I don't know. I thought there was probably a few more shots than that, but I'm not the person that keeps track of that, so I have no control over that. But I mean, if they're going to keep shooting at a 66.6% shooting percentage, that's okay.
Well, I'm sure for Dylan Smoskowitz, he'll take it as the Barrie Colts, much better effort than we saw the weekend that wrapped up the first half of the season where they went 1-2. They had that one goal in the 4-1 loss to Sudbury. They beat Brampton 1-0 in a shootout and couldn't get anything going against London. But here to this afternoon, much better effort. We're seeing the forecheck. We're seeing the breakout passes. And what can you say about Ben Horevic? He has been outstanding here tonight.
Yeah, Horevic got them through the first half of that period, which was pretty tough for the Barrie Colts. And as well, a lot of power play opportunities for North Bay. I thought the penalty kill had their best kill there just a minute ago after the McCormick penalty. Not really many chances for the North Bay Battalion on that one. And the Barrie Colts, they were able to turn that defense into offense, create a couple of good opportunities. McCormick gets the goal. Then they're rewarded with a power play, and it's Imanecker down low off a nice pass by Jaden Newton, making it 2-0. And like you said, it felt like both those games against Sudbury and London they were pretty dead. They didn't really get much going at all. They had a couple opportunities, but both London and Sudbury kind of took control of that game early and held on to it the rest of the way. And then that game against Brampton, they were solid, but not many scoring opportunities. But here tonight, or this afternoon, 2 goals through 2 periods.
Yeah, Jonah McCormick and Eamon Edgar are your goal scorers. And what's what you need? You need the depth scoring to stand up, and you get exactly that with both McCormick and Edgar. And even that power play goal, it seemed as though the power play was having some issues getting anything going. Then Edgar finds himself behind the defense with a beautiful backhand.
Yeah, and it's set up by a guy that's not known for his offense, Evan Passmore. He's a great player, but he's got 1 goal, 1 point all season. Makes a nice play to get it back to Teague Vader, and then it was like North Bay just kind of forgot that it was 5-on-4. They thought it was 4-on-4. Edgar was alone out front, puts a nice backhand on net, and was able to beat the netminder, Jonah McCormick. He gets open. I mentioned it when he scored. You know, we've talked a lot, but he's a really good player, and yeah, he's wide open there, and he's able to put it top shelf over Mike McIver.
Now, we haven't had the strongest of Wi-Fi signals here at the North Bay Memorial Gardens, and I believe because of that, our chat not working at the
I can find it. The chat's still working. I can find it on here, but we just can't see it.
We can't see the chat at all, but we just apologize for some of the technical errors. If we can figure things out here, we will on our end, but we want to thank you for tuning in. And we're going to go to the OHL news with Terry Doyle as we take a bit of a break here, regain our breath, and get back into it.
If we have any questions, if anyone does want to chime in on the chat, I can pull it up on my phone and we can talk about it after the break.
Look at that. Josh McCann, so tech savvy.
Saving the day, folks.
So
Saving the day.
The chat is still active. It'll just have to go through Josh. He's going to be the mediator.
Perfect.
All right, there we go. So it is a 2-0 hockey game right now for the Barrie Colts here at the second intermission as we'll check in with Terry Doyle and the OHL news.
Hello everyone, I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of OHL News. Coming up on the show, we'll catch up with what's been happening with Team Canada at the World Junior Selection Camp taking place in Niagara Falls. That in a moment, but first, this week's Cogeco OHL Player of the Week is Christopher Brown of the Sioux Greyhounds. He picked up 2 goals and 5 assists for 7 points in 3 Greyhounds victories last week as they came into this week's play on a 5-game winning streak. The 19-year-old who hails from Toronto has 33 points in his first 32 games this season, his 4th year in the Ontario Hockey League. He was originally chosen as a first-round pick, 16th overall by the Greyhounds in the 2022 OHL Priority Selection. Meantime, it's been busy in Niagara Falls as Team Canada has set up there in preparation for the World Junior Hockey Championship. Brandon Caputo of the Dog Pound podcast has been on site throughout the selection camp, and we caught up on Thursday after Team Canada beat Sweden in pre-tournament action, but before Team Canada made a roster announcement on Thursday.
Well, Brandon, you've been around Team Canada selection camp started in Niagara Falls, and of course, even to the pre-tournament game that took place Wednesday night in Kitchener against Sweden. Overall, taking that sort of 30,000-foot view, what have you noticed being around this Team Canada camp right from the start of the selection camp?
Well, the first thing I've noticed, Terry, is that it's very businesslike. These guys are very focused after what were 2 very disappointing outcomes the last 2 seasons at this tournament. We had asked them sort of, do they have any plans for their off days down here in the Niagara region? Like, are they going to go sightseeing or anything like that? Nope, it's to the hotel and back. This team is very much under Dale Hunter, Mark Hunter. They know that this is a very important tournament for them to win. So the third thing I've noticed is that it's very much very professional and very serious. I mean, they are joking and things like that off the ice, but you can tell that these guys are very focused and motivated, that they really want to have a good showing at this tournament this year and show why Canada deserves to be called, you know, the best hockey country in the world after what were very 2 disappointing tournaments the last 2 seasons. So I just think, as you mentioned, it was a roster that was sort of constructed a lot before we got here. There's only really going to be now possibly 2 cuts up front with Michael Misa coming back, only 1 cut on the defensive end unless Sam Dickinson comes back, and then they're only going to take 2 goaltenders to this tournament. So what you see on paper is pretty much what you're going to see when the puck drops on Boxing Day for the tournament.
One of the guys you've talked to is Zane Pareco, of course. It wasn't on last year's team, was a last-minute addition to camp, but then a last-minute cut. Have you found that Zane, obviously being around the Calgary Flames, he's part of that group that's still very business-like, knowing that while he wasn't part of last year's disappointment in the tournament, he wants to be right back on the team this year and, of course, be part of a gold medal hockey club?
Absolutely. You can see how much it means to him being back here. in junior hockey, as you mentioned, up with the Calgary Flames. And sometimes it's hard for those guys now that they've shifted their mindset to playing at the pros, and now they have to come back to play junior hockey. Sometimes it's difficult. But for a guy like Zane Parekh, as you mentioned, guy that didn't play on the team last year, I think he's got a lot to prove, that he can showcase why he can quarterback this power play and be the top offensive defenseman on this team. So I really think that he's motivated, and getting a friend and former Saginaw Spirit Memorial Cup champion teammate Michael Misa back is a great boost for him. And you could hear the excitement in his voice of how excited he was that Michael's coming back. So a little bit of a reunion there, but you can tell he is really dialed into what they're expecting from him, and expect him to be a big offensive catalyst on the back end.
One thing I've noticed leading into camp is hearing from Dale Hunter, and let's be honest, Dale usually is pretty limited in his words, let's say, but knowing the media presence around Hockey Canada and Team Canada needs to be maybe a bit more open, but still straight to the point and straight business-like. And of course, Dale's been in front of the microphones pretty much every day, I'm sure, at camp. What's that been like with the media assembled dealing with Dale?
Yeah, I don't think it's I think everybody knows that Dale is not necessarily the most enthused about media when it comes to interviews and things like that, as we've seen in prior OHL championship runs for London and things like that. But he's actually been fantastic, Terry. He's probably the most open and probably the most, I guess, approachable that I've ever seen Dale Hunter at a tournament like this. Maybe when the actual tournament starts, that might change. But right now at training camp and pre-tournament games and things like that, he's pretty open and joking around with the media. He's given us a couple of nice fun answers that we've been able to use as well for sound bites and things like that. But you can tell just how genuinely excited he is to be the head coach again of this team. He's been that in the past, and the Akil Thomas golden goal, he was the head coach of that team. So I just think he's excited to be back here with Hockey Canada, having Mark around, as well as his brother in the management staff is great too. And he's got one of his players from London and Sam O'Reilly there as well. So I think he's excited about the prospects of what this team can be, because you look at it on paper, and we see this every year, but I truly believe that this is one of the better teams that they've assembled on paper in recent memory, when you look at all of the top end talent and everybody that's first round picks on this team, and the guys that will be first round picks like Gavin McKenna in next year's NHL draft. So I just think he's very much more of an open book than we usually see from a very stoic Dale Hunter.
A tight game Wednesday night, a win against Team Sweden. What jumped out to you in that game?
Carter George was phenomenal for their win against Sweden in that first pre-tournament game. They got into some penalty trouble there in the second period, Terry. They got down 5-on-3. That was the only goal that Sweden scored. It's really fun to watch the Swedes pass the puck around. They're so crisp. They play so much as a unit along with the Finnish team. Those Nordic countries, they really know how to play as a cohesive unit. So I think for Canada, it was the first time that a lot of them had played together. So it took about a period or two for them to finally start to gel a little bit. You saw some of the big end guys that were out of the lineup. The Cole Baudouins, the Taja Ginla, Porter Martone, Michael Misa wasn't there yet. Ben Danford was also out of the lineup. So they kept some of their guys that most likely will be roster players out of that game. So I think it was a showcase for some of those guys that are on the bubble, and possibly the fourth and fifth line guys to show out. But Carter George kept them in that game when they started to get into some penalty trouble, but they were able to go 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. And to me, that was a big difference in the game. And Brady Martin, the somewhat Kitchener boy, 20 minutes from the farm there, had some friends and family in the building, and scored both goals. He really had some nice chemistry there with Gavin McKenna, and Dale Hunter said in the postgame it was very nice to see those two have a connection already this early into training camp. So we've seen them practicing on the power play together.
That was Brandon Caputo of the Dog Pound podcast, catching up on Team Canada at the World Junior Selection Camp. Here's a look at this week's CHL Top 10 rankings presented by Delta Hotels by Marriott. The Brantford Bulldogs are now the number 2 team in the country, surpassed by the Western Hockey League's Everett Silvertips. The OHL is also represented by the Ottawa 67s at number 6 and the Flint Firebirds at 8. That's going to do it for our show this week, our final show before the holiday season. For everyone around the Ontario Hockey League, we want to wish you all the best of the holiday season and a great start to 2026. I'm Terry Doyle. You have been listening to OHL News.
It's a bit tough playing without three of your best players, especially when those were like the main guys the entire way. You knew they were going to be the top guys, and from there you're trying to figure things out up until the trade deadline. So yeah, big game for Ben Horebic, with Barrie Colts starting to find themselves as well.
So about 5 minutes away from the start of the third period here in North Bay. So while we have a moment, it's a busy day across the Ontario Hockey League as the second half of the season officially gets underway. So let's take a look at that out-of-town scoreboard.
Well, the Erie Otters up 3-2 right now on the Kitchener Rangers in a bit of an upset alert. It's Erie with 3 goals in the second period. Niagara up 3-1 on Brampton early in the third period. Brantford, they're still struggling to score a bit without some of those guys out from the World Juniors as well. They're up 1-0 on the Owen Sound attack heading into the third period. Saginaw up 4-0 on the Sioux. Ottawa up 1-0 on Kingston off a Nathan Amidovsky penalty shot goal.
Wow.
Windsor and Flint getting underway in about 10 minutes. Peterborough, Oshawa getting underway in 2 hours. London, Sarnia getting underway in 3 hours. And looking out of town, Team Switzerland up 2-1 on Team Sweden at the World Juniors.
That would be an upset and a half, I would imagine, at the World Juniors. And of course, Cole Baudouin and Keishon Aitchison getting involved with Team Canada at the World Juniors. And Baudouin, that first game, probably not one that he wants to write home about, but he's kind of slowly finding his groove there with Team Canada.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a process for him, I think. That first game, he was unfortunately on the ice for the first 4 goals against, which is obviously a pretty tough look for anyone. But as any Barrie Colts fans know, he's got a ton of potential. He's a great player, and he's going to figure it out, and he's great in his own end. They ended up putting him with Caleb Deonez, a guy he's going to play with in the future in Utah, and as well Sam O'Reilly. And I think after that lineup change by the Hunters, I think Baudouin was starting to figure it out. He ended up out on the ice there in the final minute with the net empty, made a nice play against the boards to set up that empty netter goal as of late. Keishon Aitchison, his minutes started a bit slow early on, but as the games went on, he continued to grow and grow. Him and Ben Danford coming together for a pretty good looking third pairing. It'll be interesting to see. I know Canada's had some defensive issues so maybe Aitchison, a guy that ends up getting more minutes, laid a couple nice hits against Latvia. That's one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on. Keishon Aitchison loves to lay a big hit, as we saw in the game yesterday. There are some hits that in the OHL would be pretty clean that are deemed 5-minute majors in IIHF rules, and so that's something to watch for Keishon Aitchison as the tournament goes on.
And even the arena setup in Minnesota, I was watching one of the reels about how Canada has to walk from one arena across the ice. They have to skate across one rink to walk all the way to the arena they're playing. It's such a weird setup, but they're making it work, and the Barrie Colts representing the team quite well.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that doing the whole walk by, and good job by TSN getting all of it and being able to see how that works out. And that wasn't the U.S. doing anything to Canada to mess around with them. That was that's because Canada finished 5th last year, so that's the locker room they're designated. One thing, though, that U.S. does control is the schedule. So a bit interesting that Canada starts off the World Juniors with a back-to-back against Czechia, who's beat them in the quarterfinals the last 2 years, and then playing Latvia, who pulled off that big upset against Canada last season.
Yeah, you got to wonder if maybe a message was sent to Team Canada from Team USA, but it's going to be fascinating just to see how the tournament wraps up. And, of course, New Year's Eve, Finland, Canada, Hemming versus Baudouin and Aitchison. That's going to be a great matchup. And I understand they're going to probably show that game at the Saddleton Arena New Year's Eve when the Barrie Colts take on the Sudbury Wolves.
Yeah, I've heard there's been an effort made for that to be done. And it was interesting. We were proposed a question in the media room this morning/afternoon. Boxing Day or New Year's Eve overtime. Emil Hemming gets a breakaway. Keishon Aitchison is the only guy back. What do we want to happen? I think the consensus was as long as Keishon Aitchison doesn't send Emil Hemming into the third row, I think we're okay with
that's
either
a good
result.
sign.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, that's going to be New Year's Eve, and we'll be covering the Colts Wolves game on Rogers TV. As that's going to be a home date, and it's always a classic when you get the New Year's Eve game at the Saddleton Arena. And of course, the fans just love it that they can skate on the ice after the game with their favorite players, the Barrie Colts, as it's just an annual tradition. It's been like that since the Barrie Colts entered the Ontario Hockey League.
I think one of the best parts about it for me personally, being with Rogers TV, this is now my third year getting to cover the New Year's Eve game. I've never hosted it. Still not going to this year. Thomas West is back in Barrie for the New Year's Eve game. But one of the most interesting parts about being on camera for those games is that we have to stay a bit longer than you guys have to because we have to tear down all the equipment, and they play the Canada game as it's going on. So it's pretty cool to watch that end. I mean, last 2 years watching the New Year's Eve games for Canada as well, unfortunately, watching the heartbreak of the quarterfinal game against Czechia last year in the arena. And then after that, in fact, was in the arena watching the Four Nations final when Canada took on the U.S. and got home just in time for overtime to begin.
Yeah, it's always fun this time of year. And of course, the Barrie Colts season will continue. We're actually going to be in Kitchener Friday nights down at the Odd. You can catch the live stream here on the channel as we'll get that underway at 6:45. Puck drop is at 7 o'clock. I grew up a Kitchener Rangers fan, so I'm always excited when we can go back to the Odd. And that's the great thing about doing these road broadcasts. Get to go to the Cathedral of Junior Hockey. Cannot wait for that one.
Well, it's nice for you too as well. I know you've still got family out that way. It kind of, you can coincide Christmas and New Year's with
it's true. Yeah, we're actually going to meet up with my family before the game, do a little Christmas exchange, and then everyone's coming to the game at the Odd. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, tie it in.
If you're getting me a gift, just let me know ahead of time.
I will keep you posted.
Okay.
My kids will probably let me know what you should be getting.
They'll give me coal.
Probably, especially my daughters.
No, they'll probably make me pay money.
So right now we are getting ready for the start of the third period, but it looks like we need to do a little maintenance on the ice here in North Bay. The arena staff coming out to check the boards behind the net of Ben Harabik. So a bit of a delay here, but hopefully this won't take much longer. But after that game Friday night in Kitchener, we're back on home ice Saturday when the Niagara Ice Dogs come to town. A new look Niagara Ice Dogs after seeing Kevin He and Darcy DeWatcher shipped off to the Flint Firebirds. I know we did the out-of-town scoreboard, and right now Niagara up on Brampton, but you got to figure this Niagara team, all signs indicating that it's going to be a sale heading up to the OHL trade deadline.
Yes, honestly, even though they're a rival, the Barrie Colts, it's disappointing to see how these last 2 years have unfolded for Niagara. They weren't expected to do too much last season, but they were expected to be a bit better and finally start to turn that corner. And it happened in the first half. They were one of the best teams in the OHL, and then February was just a terrible month for them. They didn't win a game, and then funnily enough, March 1st, they beat the London Knights.
They were number one in the country at that time.
Just ridiculous. And then here for Niagara, they did the same thing in November. They had a really bad month in November this season after falling down to the 7th seed last year and losing in 5 to the Barrie Colts. And then it looked like they made a comeback on Brampton in the first game of December, and you thought, okay, maybe they're starting to figure it out and get things back going. But it just hasn't worked out for this Niagara team, and there's a ton of potential there. Riley Patterson could be a guy on the move again. The Barrie Colts aren't allowed to trade for him. They have to wait until a year to the day next year when they traded him away to be allowed to trade him, which is kind of disappointing. That'd be a interesting piece to look at if you're the Barrie Colts in recouping Riley Patterson, but don't think that's going to be a possibility. Ryan Robrick is a guy that's draft eligible this season. It's interesting to see, if Kevin He's out the door, maybe they look and they try and do a full sell-off, or maybe it's a quick turnaround. If it's a quick turnaround, I think you could maybe see Robrick back next year. Ethan Zada was already named captain of Niagara for the rest of the season, so I doubt he's on getting traded. And for Niagara, though, I think if they're selling, they should be looking at getting a young defenseman. They don't really have that top-end defender. They're using Ben Reisnicker in that role, and maybe eventually he's able to develop into that. But right now, they don't really have a number one defenseman on that team.
So we are still waiting for the arena staff to fix the issue with the boards behind the Barrie Colts net. We haven't started the third period yet. All the players came on the ice, and then the linesmen pointing out an issue with the boards. From here, it looks like it might be the glass and the boards where they meet. So still waiting a couple minutes here. Looks like we might be good to go, but still a bit of a delay here in North Bay to get this third period back underway. The Colts right now up 2-0 on the North Bay Battalion as the arena staff coming off the ice. So we should be ready to go. And the fans, of course, applauding the arena staff that we can get this game back underway.
Thought we were going to have another glass breaking incident there for a second. You know, it's kind of similar to a couple of years ago when that game got canceled due to the issue with the net at the Sadler Arena. You know, before that happens, you don't really worry about it. But now that you've seen it live, you've watched that issue with the net and the pipe, and then you see the glass break in Brampton, you're kind of watching like, don't do that again.
What's going on back there?
Be careful.
But we are ready to go here for the third period. Brad Gardner taking the draw against Ethan Procession, and we are underway. Face-off won by the Colts. Barrie right now trying to hold on to that 2-goal advantage here against North Bay. As that ends up at center ice, it's Calvin Crombie. He's going to send this one deep. That goes wide of the net after his Carter low. Harper gets to it first, and then Crombie with a hit, but he gets the worst of it there, colliding with Procession. Puck comes along the boards. Ryder Cali can't get it out of the zone. Kept in by Gardner, but he loses it, and the Battalion get it out. Now it's Procession. He's got a lane to the net. One hand stopped by Horevic. Ryder Cali gets it in the corner, sends it back to Ride at the point. Procession is down in the corner. Play continues. Colts trying to get to it. They will. Here comes Calvin Crombie. Crombie on the breakaway. He's trying to get around Ride, but it's knocked away. There's a penalty coming against the Battalion. And no penalty shot here. And now we've got Passmore having words with Ride. But nothing more will come of that. It looks like it'll just be Bronson Ride, and it's going to be a hold.
That took down Crombie from behind. Looks like he's okay. Ethan Proshizin's getting checked out on the bench. Big hit there in the corner. Looks like Passmore was with him there, and then back the other way, upended is Crombie and Laird right now talking to the officials about the play in the corner, wanting a penalty there, not going to get it. And then Bronson Ride looked like he was maybe interested in taking another penalty there, going after Evan Passmore, but
well, right now the officials are all huddled up in front of the timekeeper's bench. I wonder if they are having a discussion about the hit that Passmore delivered on Procession. As we've seen this in the past where they'll do a review after the fact.
Okay, so now, but this is an interesting question. So if that's a penalty, do we now have to just ignore the North Bay penalty because Barrie touched the puck and they'd be going?
That's a great question, but I almost wonder if they'd call both penalties. Well, the referee Alfred was just pointing at the corner, talking with Evan Passmore.
Looks like they're going to review it. No, but here's the thing, though. It's like, because technically, if they call it initially, that penalty doesn't happen.
Well, it wasn't Passmore. It's actually Hanser who's being sent to the penalty box. So as Justin Hanser delivered the check, it's a 5-minute major posted on the board. So they are going to the tablet. They can do that. You call the 5 minutes, automatic review. So this is where the officials, David Elford and Kyle Whiteman, can take a look at it and then confirm whether or not that should be a penalty.
I think that's it's a good thing in hockey that you're able to do that now and kind of be able to look back and try and fix a mistake there, because obviously if there's a bad hit there, you want to call it. You don't want that in the game, and I didn't really see it too closely. I'm not for sure on whether it should be a 5 or not, but obviously you got to call it a 5 for it to be reviewable.
So they are on the tablet right now taking a look at it. So we'll see how long this goes. They still have the penalty on the board to Ride. So it looks like it would become a 4-on-4 situation. But you did bring up what happened before the North Bay one. Does that negate it?
Well, we've kind of seen some interesting things come from these reviews. These posts after the play that it wasn't called, but that's been from high sticking plays, because in it was Barrie and I want to say Ottawa that played each other in Barrie, and Brad Gardner with a high sticking call or a high sticking penalty, and then they don't call it. Ottawa goes back down the other way and they score. Well, then they go to review and then they just call it a 2-minute minor because it was a 4-minute, and then they translate it to 2 minutes. But everyone was all confused. Well, why is there a 2-minute high sticking penalty from before the goal? And then another time that happened again, it was Evan Passmore. He got high sticked in the face, and then the opposing team scored.
That was against Peterborough.
Yeah, they called the penalty, but then they didn't take the goal off, even though it.
Yeah, I know it's a change to the rules in the Ontario Hockey League where they're allowed to review plays that are seen as penalties, but
I think it's good that you're able to do that, but it doesn't really work in the intent that it's supposed to be if you're having all this confusion come out of it, because it's going to be a bit confusing here. Okay, does Bronson Rye get a penalty for what he did, or do we just have to ignore that ever happened?
Yeah.
Have to just pretend we didn't see it?
The other thing that's a little frustrating is you just had the delay because of the maintenance issue behind the Colts net. Now you're having this lengthy review, and we've only played 54 seconds into this third period.
We're going to be here till 9 p.m.
And the weather's supposed to get nasty.
Well, Gene was leaning over there. I don't know if he saw something about highway closures or something.
I don't know, but he's keeping an eye on that. But right now we've got the officials having a long conversation even after being on the tablet.
It's probably because they don't know what to do.
Well, hands are still in the box with 5 minutes on the board. And it looks as though it's going to be 4-on-4 here. So I think yes, they reduced Hanser's penalty to 2 minutes. So it's going to be 4-on-4 for a full 2 minutes. So Bronson Rye's penalty continues. And Hanser is now being assessed the 2 minutes for that hit on Ethan Procession. Not sure if it's boarding or elbow. We haven't actually been given confirmation. This is where I think the OHL would be wise to adopt what they do in the NHL.
Yeah.
Have the referees have a microphone and explain to everyone in the arena what's going on.
Just makes it so much easier because no one really knows. I think this one we can figure out, but some of the stuff, we want to know more about what's going on so we can understand the decision more. Dylan Smoskowitz having a talk with the officials there. It didn't look like he was too happy with it.
Yeah, he was not too thrilled with what the referee had to say, but this is where they really, I don't know, I've been mentioning this the last few years, especially on the channel, about how important it would be to have a timer at least for these reviews, and then just that transparency here would be helpful.
Well, I remember you talking about that last year in the playoffs when we were down in Niagara and Sam Black took a penalty and it ended up being reduced to a 2, or it wasn't even called a penalty. I can't really remember, but it took about 10 minutes to come to a decision. I think if you can't decide in 10 minutes, then you're not really making a right call.
So they just announced the penalties here. So Bronson Rye in the box for holding, and interference is the call on Justin Hanser. So after all that, play back underway. It's a 4-on-4 situation. Colts are going to move this one ahead. There's Calvin Crombie. He'll skate it in for Barrie in the high slot. He's tripped up. Play continues. Kapagridis still skated around his own net. Crombie, though, putting on more pressure here. Good forecheck there from the Colts forward. North Bay will skate it out. Greer reaches center ice. He'll weave his way into the zone, takes the shots, and that's going to go out of play with 1:15 left in the 4-on-4.
Well, that delay kind of worked out for the Colts, allowed Crombie and Passmore to get a bit of a break and get right back out there on the ice.
So face off here to the left of Ben Horebic. As Jaden Newton, he'll take the draw here up against Ethan Procession. Scramble draw. Nope, we're going to do this again. So Newton's going to be tossed out. So in steps Joe Salandra. They'll now take the draw here against Procession. All the delays to start this third period. So 4-on-4 still for 1:10 as the Colts get this down to the North Bay blue line. Fanning on it there was Harper. Loose puck picked up by Asadorian. Asadorian shot stopped by McIver as he got a piece of it. Puck's going to sail out to the neutral zone. Emerton gives that up to Eliason. Far side Asadorian. He'll go back to Emerton as Salandro is still coming back to come on side. Far side Asadorian. He's going to put that one off the end boards. Picked up by Emerton. Cross ice speed. Picked up by Eliason. Facing pressure there from Ryder Cali. Eliason goes back. Gives it up to Emerton. Cole Emerton behind the net. Sets up Salandra. Joe Salandra is knocked down. That's going to be a penalty against North Bay. Battalion fans are getting frustrated here, as now it's going to be a hook against Ethan Procession.
Well, not a penalty you want to take there if you're the captain of your team. Procession starts there with a bit of a chop towards Eliason, then Emerton gets puck, plays the head, and then possession takes it down Salandra in the middle of the ice there. And Barrie Colts, it took an extra minute and a half, but they do get the power play they were looking for.
Yeah, it took us a little bit, but it's going to be a 4-on-3 situation now for the Barrie Colts. This power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. Face off to the left of Mike McIver. Gardner is going to take the draw here up against Laird. Some last-second instructions as they get set. Face off won by the Colts. Here's Cole Emerton at the point. Emerton up ahead to Gardner. Back to Emerton. Emerton, Gardner doesn't take the shot. Goes back to Emerton. Emerton up the middle. Takes the shot. Blocked in front. McIver got a piece of it. Brad Gardner keeps it away from Greer. Stays with it. Trying to pass it in front. Puck's knocked away, and the Battalion will get it out. So in 8 seconds, Ride and Hanser are going to come out of the box. It's going to be a 5-on-4 situation. Emerton through center, ahead 4 low. That bounced off his stick, and the Battalion get it out. So it's now a 5-on-4 situation. So minute 20 still to go on this latest power play for the Barrie Colts. As Emerton's going to come out, drops this one back to Crombie. Salandra receives the pass through the neutral zone. Joe Salandra trying to go up the middle, poked away by Ride. Battalion gets to the line, not out. Kept in by Emerton. Takes the shot right on goal. Carter Lowe is parked in front, but McIver able to make the save.
Nice look there by Cole Emerton. The Colts, I mean, it's so big to not let up a goal here early in the period. Don't want to have the Battalion on your heels making it a 1-goal game really early in this period. And obviously the next goal is so critical. Depending on who it goes to, Barrie can make it a 3-goal game and maybe put it out of reach. But North Bay, they could get right back in this game, make it a 1-goal game.
So the second power play unit is out on the ice. It was Eamon Edgar who scored the power play goal to make it 2-0 in the second period. He's out there. Edgar, though, can't hold on to it. Battalion will get it out. Here's Ryder Cali skating up, shorthanded, trying to get around Vader. Vader knocks him down. Play continues. Puck's in the corner. Vader's on top of the puck. Cali's trying to dig it free. Vader will send it around. Loose puck picked up by Bodie Stewart. 37 seconds left in the power play. Stewart trying to force his way through center. Delayed penalty call. It's going to be a high stick as Newton will touch the puck, and now we'll get the call. It's going to be Jaden Newton now heading off for the high stick. So there goes the power play for the Barrie Colts.
Newton going to the box. Same time Prochesson went to the box there. 31 seconds left in the 4-on-4 is when he went. Now Newton will go make it 4-on-4, 31 seconds left in what would have been a Barrie power play. But high stick there to Wellenreiter, and then Newton tries to bait him into taking a retaliation penalty, but can't get it.
So it's 2 minutes for Jaden Newton. So 4-on-4 for 31 seconds. And then North Bay, they're going to get their 5th power play this afternoon. Face-off coming to the left of Ben Horevic. Acidorian will take the draw here for the Colts up against Dubrovtsev. Barrie with possession. Hanser sends it around to Armstrong. Armstrong up to Crombie. Calvin Crombie, he'll skate this one ahead. Enters the neutral zone. Crombie enters the zone. He's taken down by Kapagaritas. Puck's down in the corner. Battalion will pick it up. They're going to send it right back behind their own net. Harper has to come back to collect it for the troops. North Bay taking their time. 7 seconds left until Procession comes out of the box. Kapagaritas forces his way into the offensive end. Drops it back to Carey. Ryder Carey along the boards. Comes back to the point. It's now a power play for the Battalion. North Bay moving this one around. Carey back to Procession. Kapagaritas across to Harper. Back to Kapagaritas. Kapagaritas takes the shot, bounces off a couple of legs, ends up behind the net. Hands are trying to go after. Again, another penalty call coming. And this one's a hook. I think this is against North Bay.
That was on hands or against the penalties against North Bay for a hook on Hanser. It's going to be Ryder Carey going to the box, and Battalion very much not a fan of that call.
This has been a parade to the penalty box in this third period. We still haven't even played 5 minutes into this period. Oh, boy. Okay, so it's back to 4-on-4 apparently.
I don't know if there was too much there, but when the stick got in on Hanser, he kind of slipped, and then I think that made the officials think that.
Well, the first 2 periods of this hockey game, we haven't had too many penalties. But here in the third, it's just been penalty after penalty. So face-off won by the Colts. It's Cole Emerton at the point. He's going to send this one around. Manzo after behind his own net. Pressure there from Sementsov. He'll send it back to the line. It's Emerton. Emerton takes the shot. That goes wide of the net. Edgar chasing after behind the Battalion goal. Warren will find it for the Battalion. Cam Warren passing this one up to Manzo. Manzo reaches center, taken away there by Emerton. Here's Edgar. He'll skate this one in for the Colts. Eamon Edgar skates to the middle, stays with it. Now it's knocked away. Sementsov gets a stick on it. Edgar across, finds Armstrong, but that puck bounced on him. Towards the net, that goes off a skate. Vaughn's going to skate behind his own net. 28 seconds, and then the Colts are going to go back on the man advantage. Here's Parker Vaughn. He'll skate it in for North Bay. Vaughn to the net. Got it to the goal, but Harebic able to shut the door. And he'll get a whistle. Here is now Gabriel Eliasson holding up one of the North Bay players.
A nice play by Vaughn there, working around the Colts defense, able to get to the net. Makes a nice move to the outside on Ethan Armstrong, cuts back in. Passmore wasn't able to get there in time, and Eliasson wasn't able to get there in time. And Vaughn had a nice chance there on Harebic, who was able to make the initial save and not let up a rebound.
So Jaden Newton, he's going to come out of the penalty box in 19 seconds, and then the Colts will get their fourth power play of the afternoon. Face off here to the left of Ben Harebic. Alex Asadorian set to take the draw up against Shamar Moses. Face off won by the Colts. Emerton takes it back behind his own net. He's going to take his time as Newton ready to come out of the box. Emerton still behind his own net. Now decides to leave it there for Vader. So 3 seconds left. And now the Barrie Colts are on the power play for the fourth time tonight. This power play brought to you by Frontline Hockey Apparel. You can find them at frontlinehockeyapparel.com. Colts forced back behind their own net. That's Teague Vader. 38 seconds left in this man advantage. Vader skates through the neutral zone, sends this one in off the boards. Vader's going to go after it himself. Vader sending it around to Gardner. That's knocked away, and the Battalion will get it out. Harebic behind his own net. He's going to leave it there. Crombie back to collect it for Barrie. 20 seconds left in the penalty now to carry. Vader dropping it back to Crombie. Calvin Crombie through the neutral zone. He'll skate this one ahead up to Passmore. Drops it back to Vader. He's taken into the boards. Ride, though, can't get it out of the zone. Now Procession will. That's going to go down the length of the ice. Carter Lowe back to collect it now for Barrie. Leaving it there for Passmore as the power play has expired. So the Colts now 1 for 4 on the power play. Just over 13 minutes left to go in the hockey game. Barrie up 2-0. Calvin Crombie skates this one in for the Colts. Crombie hits the brakes. Takes a hit there from Manzo. Along the boards. Colts keep it at the point. That's Hanser. Down low. Quick pass. That's blocked. Bouncing. Asadorian waiting for it, but that's knocked away. Armstrong ahead to Asadorian. He'll continue it to the corner. Hermanov. He'll skate it behind his own net. Hermanov. Long pass. Nearly taken away by Armstrong. Finds Wellenreiter. Wellenreiter sends it across. Here's the shot by Harebic. Harebic wanting to cover it up, but that was out of his reach. Now it's Nolan Newton. He'll send this one across to McCormick. McCormick dumps this one in. McIver playing it behind his own net. Hermanov ahead for Wellenreiter. He'll skate this one forward. Flips this one across. Amidovsky after the loose puck. Eliasson takes him into the boards. Picked up there by Emerton. Emerton passing that one up the middle. Taken there by McCormick. John McCormick reaches center ice. He'll flip this one into the zone. Karmanov knocks this one down for North Bay. Karmanov's got some room. He's going to skate this one forward. Bodie Stewart, though, gets in his way. He's forced to peel back. Kapagriadis, he's got a lane. He'll skate this one out for North Bay. Up ahead, Amidovsky tips this one in, so no icing. Puck's behind the Colts net. Picked up by Eliasson. Up to Edgar. Eamon Edgar forced to go back by Moses. Loose puck taken there by Stewart. Eliasson gets it again for the Colts. Ahead for Edgar. Doesn't get a stick on it, so that's going to be icing against the Barrie Colts. With 11:35 left to go in this hockey game, is Barrie right now holding on to this lead.
Yeah, it's been a weird start to the period. There was about 6 minutes there where we didn't get any 5-on-5 play, and now the two teams kind of getting things back in order here. And looking at Karmanov, it's interesting. It kind of feels like when you put the pressure on him in his own zone, he's could be bound to make some mistakes. Fumbling the puck a bit there is Bodie Stewart tried to take it away from him. He was able to get it out, but something to watch with Karmanov is issues with pressure.
And the Barrie Colts, they're not afraid to go after him whenever he has the puck. And it's been interesting to follow as this game goes on. It's our first look at Karmanov in person. We've been able to see video footage and hear from other broadcasters, but for Karmanov, he's got that size, but when you put pressure on him, he seems to be, I don't want to say he's spooked, but he's having issues getting that puck out of the zone.
Well, yeah, it looks like he's just kind of panics a bit when he gets the puck on his stick and a Barrie Colt player comes around him. And like you mentioned, ton of hype around him for his size. There was so much excitement. The Bulldogs drafted him, and then Brantford fans and media, they were all excited about him. And then, I mean, when you look at the Brantford imports, I mean, it's so hard to crack that roster. And he ends up here in North Bay.
There's a chance to the net, but the Battalion put that one wide. Here's Parker Vaughn. His shot's blocked in front. Loose puck picked up by Warren. Warren, he's taken into the boards by Eliasson. That's going to be a penalty, as I believe it's going to be a hold on Gabriel Eliasson, as we get a bit of a crowd here after the fact. But the North Bay Battalion, they're going to get a power play here. It's going to be a hold.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned during the TV timeout there, kind of getting things back in order after a bunch of special teams play. But no, we're going back to the power play. Parker Vaughn, nice pass down low, blocked by Eliasson. And then he chases after Warren and gets the hand on him, sends him into the forwards. That Warren, Moses, Vaughn, second line. I mean, you look at the points, the stats really aren't there, but the potential is. I mean, those are 3 first-round picks over the last 3 years. There's definitely a chance that Battalion line could eventually break out.
So power play number 6 for North Bay. That pass goes between the legs of Cam Warren. Warren will send this down to Moses. Shamar Moses from the corner, back to Warren. Cam Warren, back to the line. Greer takes the shot. That's deflected over the net. Moses behind the goal, trying to play it from his knees. Callie will send it back to the blue line, picked up by Procession. Ethan Procession goes behind the Barrie net. His pass to Warren, deflected, and then takes the hit from Salandra, and we're going to get a call for a glove-to-head pass as Warren was just trying to quickly give that up to Procession.
30 seconds gone by on the penalty here. The Colts again, solid start to their penalty kill. It's been perfect so far tonight, and one of the big reasons they're still winning this game.
So this faceoff is going to be brought outside the Barrie Colts blue line. 10:49 left in the hockey game. 1:31 left in the penalty to Gabriel Eliasson. Faceoff won by the Battalion. Warren will send that one over to Greer, who's going to backtrack into his own zone. Warren receives the pass on the near side as Battalion regroup. Greer, he's going to skate this one ahead, reaches center. Greer carries this one in, knocked away by Hanser. Puck goes to the far corner. Passmore will get to it. Puck bouncing in the corner. Procession trying to find it. Loose puck. Here's Cam Warren. High slot. Takes the shot. Stopped by Horevic. Rebound picked up by Moses. Shamar Moses back to Greer at the point. Takes the shot. Blocked by Horevic. Loose puck. Gardner will collect it. He's going to send this one around the boards, and Moses can't keep it in. Moses comes back to his own blue line to play it. He'll skate this one forward. Moses' pass deflected, and that's going to be an offside call against North Bay, as the Battalion having issues setting things up right now on this latest power play.
Yeah, they haven't had a lot going here in this big 10 minutes for these two teams. Colts and Battalion separated by 5 points right now, so it's very Colts were ever able to win this game, make it a 7-point differential for first in the Central Division. That would be big, especially against a North Bay team. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They've won 2 straight games. They probably came in hungry to beat this shorthanded Barrie Colts team. North Bay, one of those teams over this stretch, they're a bit lucky. They don't have anyone really away at the World Juniors.
Well, they do have Caden Petrie out of the lineup, so that's one of the big pieces out. But there's a shot stopped by Horevic. Side of the net, he's going to pounce on that, and we'll get a whistle. And, of course, we get a bit of a crowd after the fact, but nothing more will come of that. But we talked about at the start of the game how important this one is for both teams. Barrie missing those big 3 at the World Juniors. You want to send a message that your depth guys can, contribute and step up. We're kind of seeing that here. While North Bay just being out-goalied right now by Ben Horevic.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Caden Petrie, a pretty big loss, 15 points in 21 games. A slow start with the Flint Firebirds, but felt like since he's came over to North Bay, he's starting to figure things out once again.
Battalion move it around. 25 seconds left in the power play. They go around the net. Here is Wellenreiter. Wellenreiter skating this one ahead. Side of the net. Trying to wrap around was Amidovsky, and Hrebeck with another outstanding save. Puck's at the point. Kapagaritas to Wellenreiter. Wellenreiter takes the shot. Stopped by Hrebeck. Loose puck. They jam at it. Parker Vaughn can't find it. Hrebeck is sprawled out. Puck goes to the corner. North Bay just pouring it on. One-timer off the post. Amidovsky settles it down across. Hrebeck can't get there in time. And the Battalion find the back of the net. It won't be a power play goal, but Debratsev will find the back of the net, making it a 2-1 score.
Well, I'm sure there was just a sigh of relief on the Battalion bench, thinking finally some great opportunities. The one-timer there by Procession hits the post, and then Wellenreiter, beautiful pass across the ice to Debratsev, who's wide open, and Hrebeck, he sprawled across to make 3 excellent saves today, but unable to do it a 4th time there. What a great play by the Battalion. And it's a 1-goal game again, and North Bay, they're probably letting out a bit of frustration there. I mean, the shots are 41-13 right now, and they're losing.
Yeah, the North Bay Battalion is pouring everything at that net. Hrebeck did everything he could, but could not stop them all. So we'll see what this does for the North Bay Battalion, if they can build off this spark. Right now, they're trying to get it out of the zone. It was knocked off the stick of Pronin. Karmarov will get it out to center. At the blue line, that's Alex Asadorian. Eliasson. He's forced to peel back, facing pressure there from Laird. Ethan Armstrong, his pass went off Pronin. Colts still with it. Armstrong across, off the bench. There's Wellenreiter. Wellenreiter skates this one in. Stopped there by Eliasson. Armstrong behind his own net to play it here for the Colts, being chased by Laird. Up ahead to McCormick. Jonah McCormick drops this one back to Eliasson. Gabriel Eliasson backtracking in his own zone. He's going to give this one up to Armstrong. Just over 8 minutes remaining. Colts holding on to a 1-goal lead. Eliasson's just going to take his time there. Looks like he's ready to have maybe a nap or something behind the net. Now he's going to move it up. Eliasson, though, peels back. He's got Wellenreiter on the forecheck. He's going to give him chase. Passmore receives the pass. Passmore from his own corner flips this one ahead, out to center. Crombie trying to catch up to that alley-oop pass. Carrying it in, here's Gardner. Goes to Crombie. Crombie, though, loses the handle. Puck rolls to the corner. Harper, he's bumped. Good work there by Crombie. Gets it back to Gardner. Gardner across to Passmore. Takes the shot, and McIver with that glove, able to make the save with 7:34 remaining.
Nice look there for Passmore, and still plenty of time here for North Bay to get the equalizer. 7:34 to go. It took a while to get a goal, but took till shot 40, but they get the job done, and it's a 1-goal game here late.
Well, Ben Hrebeck, he has been sensational between the pipes here for the Barrie Colts this afternoon, giving them a chance. You got the goals from McCormick and Edgar. And you could just tell that the frustrations were building for the North Bay Battalion, and they took advantage of the momentum from that recent power play to finally find the back of the net from Debratsev.
Well, I'm sure Ben Hrebeck's very thankful for the 3-day break between games here for the Barrie Colts.
Battalion get this one out. Hanser from his own blue line, being chased there by Vaughn. Justin Hanser facing the pressure, sends it into the North Bay zone, picked up by Harper. Harper forced to go back behind his own net, being chased by Hanser. Moses gets this one out to the neutral zone. Carter Lowe back to play it. Chips this one off the boards. Passmore. That one bouncing off a leg, ends up on the far side. Gardner gets to it for the Colts. Left there for Lowe. Lowe's just going to dump this one into the North Bay zone. Rolls on net. Bronson Ride is there to collect it. Under 7 minutes left in this hockey game. 2-1 Barrie. Edgar picks off that pass. He's going to send it back into the North Bay zone. Ride back behind his own net, being chased there by the Colts. Desiderio puts that one to the corner. Stewart after it. Harper gets to it first. Along the boards to Moses. Moses takes the bump from Desiderio. Now the Battalion will get it out. Shamar Moses across. Vaughn enters the zone, hits the brakes. After it is Warren. Emerton's going to go around his own net. Cole Emerton skates this one ahead, reaches the neutral zone, and dumps this one in. McIver slows it down behind the net. Greer can't handle that one. It's Cody Stewart. Back to Eliasson. Has it in his skates. He's able to recover. Takes the shot. McIver the save. Puck's loose. Desiderio jamming at it. And the Battalion goaltender's on top. as the Colts throwing it to the net. I don't think McIver realized where it was.
Yeah, good read there by Desiderio. McIver, you could tell, was just kind of hoping it was somewhere on him and he wasn't going to let it go. And Desiderio comes flying in trying to knock it free, but McIver was able to keep it held on to.
McIver is going to be tested here, I'm sure, with this faceoff coming to his left. Shots 41-13. I would think it should be at least 14 or 15.
Well, did Passmore had a shot, and it was at 13 it's been at 13 for a while now.
That's what I was just thinking, because the Colts fired the puck there a couple of times, but
a hometown discount.
Maybe that's what it is. Puck comes back to the point. Armstrong across to Vader. Vader's going to send this one down to the corner. Greer up to Amidovsky. Battalion trying to get it out. Kapagridis forced back. That's knocked down by Jaden Newton at the blue line. Battalion get it out. Here's Laird on the near side. Laird with a shot kicked aside by Horevic. At the point, Greer winds up his shot wide of the net. Sementsov after the loose puck. Trying to get it past Kapagridis. He will. Oh, now they updated the shots. It's 15. Salandra, though, mixing it up with Laird. Battalion gets to the center. That's knocked away by Gardner, but that's going to be an offside call as Salandra was still inside the zone.
Good thing they updated it there, because the 42 went up pretty quick after the...
Well, we have 5:36 left to go in the hockey game. The Barrie Colts holding on to that one-goal advantage. But what an effort here by Ben Horevic, just giving the Colts that confidence in net. And you can tell that they're kind of feeding off of that right now.
Well, he's stolen the show tonight, and feels like at some points the Barrie Colts have kind of gotten some momentum off of some of Ben Horevic's saves. He made a couple big ones right before Jonah McCormick had the first goal of this game. And for Horevic, is 5 more minutes. He's just got to hang on and try and stop a couple more shots. As Battalion, they're definitely going to have a big pushback here trying to tie this game up.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on McIver, see when he goes out for that extra attacker, because this Battalion team, they're coming in waves, and the pressure up front, they don't give very much time to set things up. As North Bay, they've played a fantastic game. They should be up at least 5-2 at this point. But it's Ben Horevic. He has been the difference.
The North Bay, a solid team in the Eastern Conference. They don't really have that superstar scorer. The two leaders in points, Ethan Procession and Nick Wellenreiter, both only 21 points in 31 games.
Well, this is a team that scores by committee as they get this one deep in the Barrie zone. Hands are crashing into the boards on his own. He seems to be okay. Colts get this one out to center. Crombie trying to settle down the bouncing puck. That's knocked away from him by Rye. Turning it away is Harper. Harper up to Procession. Ethan Procession takes the shot. Stopped by Horevic. Puck's loose in front, but he gets a favorable whistle, as it looked as though Horevic may have been holding it, but it actually went up in the air.
I don't know if his glove ever touched that. I think he hit it with the blocker, right? You know, you sometimes see the quick whistle where it's like down there. That one was like up in the air. It was in the air.
Well, Horevic was having a word there with the official. I wonder if he was thanking him.
Maybe. Hey, they were having words earlier. Now they're friends.
They seem to be okay now. Face off won by the Battalion. That goes wide of the net. North Bay trying to move it in front. Callie couldn't get there, but puck comes to the near side. Kapagridis keeps this one in. Procession. There's the shot stop. Horevic. Puck goes up the middle. Battalion can't get to it. Puck sent out to center ice. Kapagridis inside his own zone. That's knocked down by Callie. Following up his Procession. Colts get to the line, not out. Kept in by Kapagridis. Puck goes to the corner. Emerton trying to get a stick on it. Battle ensues in the near corner. Colts get this one to the line. Not out. No, it will squeak past. Callie leaped for it, but couldn't keep that one in the offensive end. Joe Salandra drops it back to Emerton. Full Emerton takes his time ahead to Salandra. He's going to dump this one in. Around the boards it goes. Here's McIver back behind his own net to play it. Just over 4 minutes now remaining in the third. Bodie Stewart sends it towards the net. No one there for Barrie. Battalion move it up, but that's deflected, so no icing. Hanser will be the first one on it for the Colts. Justin Hanser, he'll skate this one ahead for Barrie through the neutral zone. Sends this one deep. Hanser chasing after it himself. Trying to beat it. Bronson Rye. Ryder carry on the far side. Gets this one out. Knocked down by Asadorian. Sent back into the North Bay zone. Battalion with it. Manzo sends that one forward at the line. Bratsev, the goal scorer for North Bay, sends it forward. Pronin lost the handle of it. Cronin gets it again. Back to Ride. Keeps it at the blue line. Over to Greer. Greer takes the shot. Stop by Revick. Puck was loose. Colts trying to get it out. They can't. Kept in by Ride. Blocked by Newton. That was Nolan Newton getting in the way. Vader. Cronin. His pass is blocked. Bratsev couldn't get to that second chance. Ride from the point. Fired wide. Cronin at the side of the goal, but the Colts knocking aside. McCormick comes up with it for the Colts. Gets this one out to center ice. McCormick trying to take it away from Ride. Ride up to Carey. Ryder Carey's going to dump this one in. Both teams make changes. There's a shot from the boards, but Parevic gets back in time. Puck's in the corner. Teague Vader takes the hit. North Bay continues to put on pressure here. Colts trying to get it out. Here's Cam Warren. Warren at the point. Can't keep that in the zone. Warren sends that one across. That pass picked off by Crombie. Calvin Crombie at center. That's taken away from him. Now it's Parker Vaughn. Gives that up to Warren. Warren hits the brakes, puts it across. Harper out of the reach. He's going to go around the net. In front, puck's loose. Backhand, and that goes over the net. Moses after the loose puck in the corner. Shamar Moses back to the blue line. Greer takes the shot. That's blocked by Carter Lowe. Ended up going in the air. Lowe gets it and sends it into the North Bay end. 2:20 left to go in this hockey game. Barrie holding on to that one-goal lead, being outshot 45-15. That's going to enter the zone. Vaughn sends it deep. Warren along the boards, surrounded by blue sweaters. Eliasson's going to take it back behind his own net. Now down to the final 2 minutes. Brad Gardner skates this one ahead. Gardner flips this into the North Bay zone. Colts are going to make a line change. This will give North Bay a chance to regroup. Harper not taking his time. He'll skate this one forward. His pass nearly picked off by Salandra. There's the shot. Stopped by Horevic. Big rebound. Capagoritas keeps it at the blue line. Here's Laird. His shot blocked in front. Went off procession.
There goes
Colts
McIver.
pick it up. McIver thought about going for the extra attacker. Comes back in time. Colts tried to take advantage of McIver heading to the bench with that empty net. Procession sends it in the zone. Colts get it again. McIver can't get out of his net. Eliasson flips this one into the North Bay zone. It won't be enough for icing as we're now down to a minute 16. McIver wants to go to the bench for the extra attacker. Now he will. Passmore behind his own net. McIver is on the bench for the extra attacker, approaching the final minute. Salandra up the middle, kept in by Capagoritas. His shot wide of the net. Amidovsky after the loose puck. Salandra blocks him from picking that one up. Salandra sees the empty nets, and that's deflected, so it won't be icing as Capagoritas has to come back to play it. 50 seconds remaining. North Bay down by one. Long stretch pass up to Laird. Laird has it on the wing. Trying to pass it. Blocked by Passmore. Laird, he's taken down in the corner. Battalion with it. That pass knocked away. Battalion still in it. 35 seconds. Wellenrider, high slot. Takes the shot. That's blocked. Rebound for Revick. Big pad save. Another chance. And the Battalion put it over the net. Gardner trying to get it out. He will. Empty nets. It's going up the middle. And that should do it as Brad Gardner finds the empty net. And it's now 3-1.
Well, great job by the Barrie Colts there, finishing this game off. Couple more big saves by Ben Horevic. And then Brad Gardner, some great aim there as knocks the puck free, flips it down the length of the ice, bullseye right in the middle of the back of the net. And North Bay is going to need 2 goals in 22 seconds here to tie this game now.
So Brad Gardner, 16 goals on the season. That one a huge goal in this hockey game. As Edgar on the forecheck, Newton's going to keep this one down low. Delayed offside against the Colts. 14 seconds remaining. Harper gives this one up. Here's Manzo. That's sent down the ice. Vader after it, and that's an icing call now against North Bay. With just 6 seconds remaining, what an afternoon this has been between the Colts and the Battalion.
Well, a huge shift in the points for Barrie, now 7 points ahead of anyone else in the Central Division going into the new year. Is just so big for this Barrie Colts team as they try and weather the storm of this 7-game stretch without their top players.
What an effort it has been here. Ben Horevic has to be the first star of this hockey game as there's the shot deflected over the net. As I believe it was Cementsov who got a piece of it, but it doesn't matter as the Barrie Colts get the 3-1 victory, get some pushing and shoving after the buzzer, but that will do it as it's a big win here on the road for the Barrie Colts in North Bay.
Bit of frustration there for Mike McIver. He was up and out of here before the final whistle had even finished going. And yeah, it's a huge win for the Barrie Colts. Like I just mentioned, I mean, the 7 points is a pretty big lead in the Central Division. And we've talked about buyers and sellers at the trade deadline. Who's going to buy, who's going to sell, who's going to stay pat. We believe the Barrie Colts, they're going to be in on some big fish as they try and make this year their year. I don't think they're looking and preparing for anything big next season, whereas the North Bay Battalion, they're a team that maybe looks at this season, sees teams like Brantford, and says, you know what, let's wait till next year. We'll go after it with Ottawa and contend for the Eastern Conference. So, 7-point gap right now. The Barrie Colts getting closer and closer to the trade deadline. And I think this Barrie Colts team, they're only going to add more and more talent to this roster. Whereas for North Bay, they may just stand pat with this team.
Well, for the Barrie Colts, they knew that the depth needed to come up clutch in these 2 weeks during the World Juniors. You're missing Bodwin, Aitchison, Hemming, your top 3-point producers. And, here, give credit to, McCormick and Edgar, 2 depth guys getting the goals in this one. Edgar, the game winner. And then with that empty net, Brad Gardner, 16 goals now on the season. A player that's, a leader on this team, both on and off the ice. Great to see him get that one right down the middle and really put an end to this one against the North Bay Battalion.
Yeah, one of the things that makes the Barrie Colts so good is that with Bodo Aitchison and Hemming, you have that added on talent with guys like Brad Gardner, Calvin Crombie, Cole Emerton, providing a bit of secondary support. So when the big three go down and now all of a sudden, Gardner and Crombie are leading the team, they're going to need a bit more help from some other guys that just like Hemming, Bodo, and Aitchison need their help. And so here today was a perfect example of that. It's the 4th line getting the opening goal of this game. Jonah McCormick, a really nice shot. And then the second power play unit for the Barrie Colts. Their first unit right now is basically their second power play unit when they're fully rostered. And for today, it's the second power play unit doing a good job. Nice pass by Jaden Newton, getting it down low. And Jaden Newton, that's a guy that he can play anywhere. He'll play on the penalty kill. He'll play on the power play. He can be Cole Bodwin's winger on line 1, or he can be the 4th line center. He does a great job at really playing any role for the Barrie Colts.
So our 3 stars of the game presented by Craighurst Crossing by Georgian Communities. New homes, minutes from North Barrie, where inspired living meets small town charm. And your 3 stars tonight, the 3rd star, Evgeny Dubratsev of the North Bay Battalion. He had 1 goal. That brought life to this battalion team because Ben Horevic frustrating the battalion to no end. So he got the lone goal there for North Bay. Jonah McCormick, he's the 2nd star. He had a goal. And then are we surprised? Ben Horevic, 1st star, 45 saves here this hockey game. He is your 1st star. As it was the Ben Horevic show, and the Colts in front were able to feed off of that momentum.
Yeah, huge win for the Barrie Colts going into a week. They got Sudbury Wednesday at home, and then we're on the road for Kitchener, and then they play Niagara at home. So a couple big divisional games. Those are 2 teams that you're ahead of in the standings, and you want to take advantage of. Get 4 more points there. Kitchener, that's going to be a pretty tough task without Bodwin, Aitchison, and Hemming, but maybe you put Ben Horevic in for that game and you see what he can do again.
Well, we know that William Schneid not in the lineup here this afternoon. Dylan Smoskowitz saying it was an injury from the game against the London Knights. He's expected to play Wednesday against the Sudbury Wolves. So some good news there because Schneid, he's one of those depth guys, maybe a 3rd liner that can, plug things up, get things to the net. So Schneid will return to the lineup. But overall, a pretty good game here by the Barrie Colts. Sure, they were outshot 46-16.
I don't think the 46-16 tells the full
No.
Credit to North Bay. I thought they played a really good game. They had some really good chances, but it didn't feel like the puck was in the Barrie end the entire time. They weren't just getting dominated. It just felt like when North Bay got the puck in the zone, maybe they were firing a bit more shots, but I still think Barrie had their chances.
Yeah, the Barrie Colts doing a great job, even clogging up the neutral zone. Great plays by Jaden Newton. He had another good game. McCormick, he really stepped up, worthy of that 2nd star mention here tonight. But what a game between the Barrie Colts and the North Bay Battalion. It's a 3-1 final. And that'll do it for us here from the Bort Longyear Memorial Gardens in North Bay. The next game will be on home ice New Year's Eve against the Sudbury Wolves. That'll be on Rogers TV. And our next road broadcast will be Friday from the Odd as the Barrie Colts visit the Kitchener Rangers. So for Josh McCann and Gene Pereira, I'm Mike Poirier saying so long from North Bay, where it's a 3-1 final for the Barrie Colts.